Hey everybody, this is Young Living Diamond Sarah Harnish, and I'm so excited to have you guys on for the Raindrop class. This is a pretty cool class, and it hasn't been done like this before, where we're able to give you a PowerPoint and you can just click through the slides and read the script. And this is something that's really unique. And most of the little demo videos are like 20 to 50 seconds long. So it'll be really easy for you guys to duplicate on your team. So we've taken all that knowledge and wisdom of Raindrop and now put it in a form where you guys can turn around and share it and teach it, even if you don't know how to do Raindrop yourself, which is pretty cool because Gary didn't design Raindrop to be done by professionals with, clinical aromatherapy certifications. He designed Raindrop to be done by the layman, and he wanted the layman to be able to do it. So let me just say hi to you guys as you're getting on. Right now we got people all over the world, from Australia, Singapore. Oh my goodness. Deborah, good to see you, and Joy and Maida and Dan. We sent out a newsletter this morning so that you guys would know I was doing this demo. We do collect the videos and we put them up on my website, so you should have access to it a little bit later. I am really excited to announce that we have gotten the last 2 PowerPoints up. So I told you the last class I taught, it's kicking my tush to try to keep up with speaking and, building the crown and doing boot camp, and the book launch and convention and everything else. So what we've been doing is we've been launching the media packages as I can, and I keep adding things to them. If you're wondering what the media package is, there are 25 scripts in the Game Plan Oil script book, and each one of them will have a PowerPoint that's free. We'll have a scavenger hunt calendar that's free, coloring sheets, action steps from the workbook, shareable graphics for Instagram, all sorts of things we're putting up, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's free, guys. So you can just go to my website, oilabilityteam.com. John and I don't generate this stuff to make anything off of you. It's to try to give you tools so it's easy for you to be able to teach this stuff. So how many of you guys on here have never taught a Raindrop class before? Because you're like, all right, my skill level is like a 1 out of 10. And I'm not really feeling very confident in getting on and doing the teaching for this class. I really pray that you can just grab the PowerPoint, read the script, and do it. And now you guys will be able to teach Raindrop to anybody on your team anywhere in the world, because we've taken this and made it duplicatable. So it's easy for you guys to be able to share. I'm pretty excited about this class. So there are professional videos for each of the techniques, and you absolutely can go grab those off of Young Living's YouTube channel and insert them. The reason that I didn't use them is twofold. Number one, some of the names and stuff are a little bit different from the way that Gary had taught the care school to preserve it, so I didn't want to cause confusion. Number two, the videos are a little bit longer, and I'm trying to keep it really tight and not overwhelming for people that are learning the technique. And then number three, it's Young Living stuff. So I want to make sure that as a diamond, we're putting out stuff that you guys can share and, not get any trouble for using. So it's free. Don't ever charge. I don't ever charge for anything that I'm using that's Young Living's, because that's when you get yourself in the danger zone. But sitting down and using stuff for free and sharing it for free and having your team duplicate it for free, there's nothing wrong with that. So Alice says, I've never taught Raindrop. Well, I pray after tonight you feel really confident in being able to do that. All right. So let me show you the media packages so you guys can find them. I'm pretty stoked to tell you that the media packages, at least the PowerPoints for Oils of the Bible and for Fearless, we just got up this afternoon. So let me do a quick share on my screen, and I'm going to show you guys how to find those so you know where to get to them. Oh, look, doesn't Facebook freeze you in the best places ever? So if you go over to oilabilityteam.com, this is my website, and you click on share, you will see the core 5 classes are right up in the front, but you can also click on the script book, and all of the boot camp videos and everything are gathered there. We're in the middle of working through this book. This is a brand new book that I've written. And I was actually just talking to corporate about it this afternoon and telling them a little bit about what's in the book and talking about it's pretty exciting. But the goal is to be able to get you guys teaching and to bring people into your organizations. We're coming off of a year of doing Zoom classes and not meeting in person. And I want to get you comfortable again with getting out and sharing. And so by doing that, I'm giving you 25 different classes to pick from. Once our new website launches, you're going to be able to bring people in with anything in in the virtual office. So seedlings or raindrop oils or Ningxia or CBD, you can bring them in with anything, not necessarily a starter bundle. That's a huge blessing. So now you have, stuff you can say about each of these products. I'm just going to show you the kids class. If you scroll down for this, you'll see a boot camp video. You'll see a full PowerPoint. You'll see blank slides for the PowerPoint. So if you want to make it your own, this is free, guys. It doesn't cost anything. You'll see a script. We can't do this for all of the classes because the book is copyrighted with Amazon, but I got permission for the first 6 to put the scripts up and a textable class, challenge calendars, graphics that count down to your class, shareable images like sniffles. Did you know if you put any breathing oil on the back versus the front of your chest, it's actually more effective because all of your organs are on top of your lungs. So if you're putting oils on the back of your body, it goes straight to the lungs. It's right there. It's the first organ that it touches. So it doesn't have to go through all the other organs. So if you're putting things on your body, for breathing, then do it on the back instead of on the chest. You can do it on the chest because it feels good, but it's going to be more effective if you're doing it on the back. So just little tiny tips like that. We've got social media, shareable images. There's coloring pages so your teams can learn about the oils and what they look like, the plants that they came from. So this is just a sample of a fully loaded page, and we get everything on it, what it's going to look like. We don't have everything fully loaded because doing 25 PowerPoints at once, it's a whole lot, right? But if I scroll down, and I go to the Fearless page. If you click on that now, you'll see the Fearless Challenge calendar. The script is up there. This is the full PowerPoint, so you can download it. The blank PowerPoint, I give you the blank slides, so you can do what you want with it. If you want parts of the PowerPoint in there, or you don't want it, you have editing ability on all of these slides, so you can do whatever you want to them. I'm not proprietary. I'm designing stuff to help you guys be able to rank up, not to get something from you. So I don't care if it's shared and it has my name on it or it doesn't. I've never really been big in people knowing my name. I don't care about that much. I just want you guys to be able to have tools that you can turn around and use for ranking. And then the coloring and divider page, so you can see what it looks like in full color and then what the plants look like. You can actually download this and have the people in your classes doing coloring sheets while you're, sharing the PowerPoint. So it's just designed to make you look really, really good. We'll be continuing to load more things onto that page in the coming weeks. Oils of the Bible just went live this afternoon. So you've now got the full PowerPoint up there and the blank slides for the PowerPoint, and we're going to keep loading things. And we're just starting Raindrop tonight. So you guys ready for the Raindrop class? I got to go over to my Facebook page. I've got two laptops open so I can see your guys' comments and talk to you while you're talking to me as well and see what you guys are saying. All right, there we go. And I want to be able to respond to you. So we'll start with a couple of giveaways. And I'm just so excited that all of you guys are on. We got a great crowd tonight. This is a pretty neat launch because this is something that is just so useful. I mean, I really believe it is the most useful skill in all of Young Living, is to know how to do Raindrop. And the nice thing is it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't have to do it with, no mistakes at all. As long as you're getting the oils in the general places that they go on the body, the oils will do what they need to do. So it's pretty exciting, pretty neat technique. When we're done, we have a cheat sheet. I've designed a cheat sheet that goes in the teacher's edition that it just makes it really easy for you to know which technique to do next. So rather than studying Raindrop in its entirety, what I train my team to do is to sit down and work on each of those little techniques. So work on finger circles, work on thumb Vitaflex, work on Vitaflexing the feet. Vitaflexing is the hardest technique in Raindrop. Work on those different techniques. And then when you got them down, then go and do the whole thing, like do it top to bottom, because it's just less overwhelming when you're learning it in little pieces versus learning it all in one sitting. So Leslie says, thanks for these wonderful classes. Raindrop has been a blessing physically and spiritually and emotionally for me, Judy. That's awesome. The neat thing about Raindrop is it's going to do physical things because it's designed as a physical technique, but you're also going to have emotional things happen during Raindrop as well. So that's pretty exciting. So what I'm teaching out of tonight, I have my teacher's edition. There are 4 books in the script book set. So you've got the Oiler edition, and I recommend everybody own one of these. You can scribble on it and read it and take notes on it, write in the margins, and do all the things you need to do to really understand the content. Then there is a workbook that goes with it. This brings the book to life. So if you really want your team ordering, applying, using the oils, running out of the oils, reordering the oils, this is going to give them the class. This is going to give them the application. So what we're working on doing is designing some shareable graphics for you guys, at least 15 a month, depending on which class you're doing, and maybe some of them as many as 30 shareable graphics a month, where you can teach a class on the first of the month and then have graphics to get people using the information in the class out of the workbook for 15 to 30 days after that, including shareable calendars and all of that. So I'm pretty excited because it's really designed to be an intense product education training system for your team. With 25 classes, you basically have 2 years of training if you're doing these once a month. And then there's a mini. These I use in my classes and they market you. So the first page on the inside shows all the classes you can teach. It's all 25 classes that are available. So somebody sitting in a class that maybe is excited about the seedlings line will then say, no way, you teach a class on hormones? I didn't know that. And they will come back. Where we're seeing 70 to 80% of our teams only sit through one class, and then they're what we call one kit wonders. They get a kit, maybe they're excited about one product like Thieves Cleaner, they order 50 PV a month and we can't get them to return for classes. If you can catch them in that first class when they're excited and show them all the things you can teach, you're marketing you and what you can share. And teaching is as hard as downloading the PowerPoint off of my website for free, grabbing the script, sitting down and teaching, just reading the words and clicking through the PowerPoint. You'll see tonight, it's so easy to share. So easy to share. So that's what the mini is. And then there's the teacher's edition. This does not come with a binder because it's prohibitively expensive to ship binders to you guys, more than it would cost for you guys to run to Walmart and just grab a binder. But it comes with the entire content of the book and really amazing dividers, so you can find the classes quickly. And then the print is larger, it lays flat, you can pull out just what you need to teach. So tonight I'm going to use my own system right in front of you, and I'm going to teach right off of the Raindrop class. I pulled the pages out that I need for this evening, and I'm going to click on the PowerPoint. I'm literally just going to read the words right in front of you. We had a 12-year-old teach one of these classes a couple of months ago. So it's pretty awesome because even kids that young, there was a beautiful Silver who is 18 years old. She just hit the rank of Silver and she was teaching savvy classes out of the script book. So, we've got kids and teenagers teaching out of this book and seeing results with it, because anytime you do product education, you're going to see OGV growth because people get excited. They learn new uses for the things that Young Living has, and they go out and they go and do it. So one of the things I do in these professionally designed PowerPoints is I am pulling videos and, stuff about the farms and all sorts of things and embedding them so that you guys have really good professionally designed stuff that looks amazing. So we are going to teach off of the scripts. I'm going to do the cheat sheet at the end and show you how to utilize this. This is a neat resource from the teacher's edition because it's one of the dividers, but you just pull it out. I throw it on their butt when I'm doing a raindrop and I know exactly what I need to do next. So practice the techniques from the little 20 to 60-second videos and then sit down and do one yourself. And if it's not perfect, stop beating yourself up and get out there and just share. Okay, just share. So I'm really excited to present to you guys the Raindrop PowerPoint for the very first time. So you guys, when we get this loaded on the website, probably tomorrow, you'll be able to go to the game plan script book button off of oilabilityteam.com and download this for yourself. Well, we've been working on this for days, and this is the Raindrop PowerPoint. So if you want to make it full screen, you can go to slideshow and from beginning or from current slide, and it's going to look like this on the screen. This is the 108 Raindrop class, and let's jump right in. We're going to go as far as we can tonight without you guys getting exhausted. And then tomorrow night, if we haven't finished it, we'll finish it. We'll train on the mini. Every single script has a little mini script inside the mini book. So on Wednesdays, we always train on the mini. And then on Thursdays, we break out the workbook and I give your team all these application skills. And that's when we do our media launches for each of these scripts so that you guys have stuff. Isn't this gorgeous? So the opening slide always shows some of the plants that are in that class. So you're using basil and marjoram. Do you know marjoram has little purple flowers in it, and wintergreen has red berries, and oregano, which comes from the Finca Botanica farm. So I've got a little video on the Finca Botanica farm in this Raindrop class. I love to introduce your people to our farms whenever we're teaching. So let's jump right into the very beginning of Raindrop technique. Welcome to All Things Raindrop. I'm now reading the script in front of you guys. And what an honor it is to show you, in my opinion, the most powerful use of essential oils on the planet. It is truly a modern anointing. So what is raindrop technique? Well, raindrop is a powerful, non-invasive technique using 9 essential oils. You can see them right here: valor, thyme, marjoram, peppermint, aromaceae, cypress, oregano, basil, wintergreen, and then also orthoes and V6. We keep those close. They're layered on the spinal column in the feet. And the series of essential oils are applied using a light massage technique with no hard pressure or force. These oils are strategically dropped over nerve pathways that run down the spine and end at the feet. It's like throwing paint at a wall. You're going to touch everything by going where those nerve bundles are. You are using the communication system of the body as a highway for essential oil delivery. Once the oils are applied using these varying techniques, there's 8 different techniques, 9 oils, 8 techniques. A carrier is laid down to seal them into the body, and then a warm towel is laid on the back for several minutes to drive the oils deeper into the skin using heat. It is an intense aromatherapy experience that can be physically and emotionally recentering. Raindrop is unique in that it targets the body on a cellular level from the outside by shooting oils up the nerves and using the energy of your own body. So to my knowledge, nothing as comprehensive exists using essential oils anywhere in the entire world. Young Living founder D. Gary Young paired God's essential oils, the body's natural electrical current, ancient techniques like Lakota Indian feathering and Tibetan Vitaflex, along with scientific knowledge of basic anatomy, just where the nerve endings are, to create a brand new system of getting oils into the cells of the body. And despite its genius design, Raindrop is actually a relatively simple technique to learn, and it can be done with little practice in your own home. A session typically lasts 60 to 90 minutes, although you can do a mini raindrop in under 3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is give you a little history. We're going to do a little science training, and I'm going to show you why we use the oils in the order that we use them in. Then I'm going to show you the techniques. Then we're just going to do a top-down read through of what it looks like, what a raindrop looks like. And then I'm going to end with an FAQ section and just kind of explain some of the benefits of raindrop and, some of the isms to raindrop. So, and how to do that mini raindrop in 3 minutes. So let's talk history of raindrop. The technique was developed by D. Gary Young in 1989, before Young Living as a company was even founded. Gary learned of a centuries-old Native American ritual within the Lakota tribe in South Dakota, and he paired it with what he had learned about essential oils. So one of the tribe elders, Wallace Black Elk, explained the technique to him, and then he perfected the therapy by mixing it with Vitaflex technique that was made popular by the author Stanley Burroughs in the 1920s. And Stanley Burroughs actually has a whole book out that you can read on Vitaflex. According to Lakota custom, their ancestors would travel north across the Canadian border to experience the wonders of the northern lights. And they would breathe in the light, and they would hold their hands up to the sky to absorb the electromagnetic energy of the colors and the electrical fields in the sky. And they believed that this healed them. Once the border between Canada and America was created in 1783 AD, so in the 1700s, the Lakota Indians couldn't make that journey anymore because they weren't allowed to just freely walk from the US border to the Canadian border. And so instead, they developed a technique using an eagle feather to simulate the northern lights for their mind, body, and spirit. In Raindrop, the oils are dispersed using feathering techniques that mimic the Lakota tradition to work the oils into the spinal muscles. So Gary Young is using Vitaflex, that's from Stanley Burroughs, and which is using the electrical currency of the body, and he's using feathering, which is from the Lakota Indians. Those are the two main techniques that are in it. You're going to spend like 80% of your time doing those two techniques, and your Vitaflex is going to feel like you're really bad at it when you first start. It's okay. It's all right. Everybody feels like that when they start their Vitaflex. The trick is just doing it again and again and again and again, and you will get better at it with the more people that you practice on. So don't feel like you have to be this master at Raindrop to be able to do it on people. I wanted to show you Gary Young. I'm kicking myself because as a diamond, I had an opportunity. I had purchased tickets to go to Croatia to see him teach Raindrop in front of 1,000 people. I had the tickets to be in this room, and 2 weeks beforehand, I was a little tired from speaking on game plan, and so I canceled and I didn't go. And it ended up being the last time that Gary taught Raindrop in person. So I have been trained in Ecuador. I have been trained by Young Living's training team. I have taken the care school many, many times, Dr. David Stewart's care school, which I highly recommend. I am not even close to an expert on raindrop technique, but I'm going to pass along some of the things that I've learned. And my goal is just to take the wisdom of all the people that have gone before us that have trained on this and kind of put it into a PowerPoint so it's easy for you guys to train on, even if you're not an expert at training, because I want to show you that even people that aren't experts, I'm not certified in raindrop. I have not stood like Gary Young in front of 1,000 people and taught it, although we got 75,000 on this page and we got thousands on right now. So this is actually the biggest raindrop class I've ever taught. But I'm not an expert, and I believe that gives me a platform to teach it to you guys, because I want you to know that you don't have to be an expert to be able to turn around and share it. You know, you just have to love people like Gary loved people and do things without being perfect. So in this picture, he's actually demoing VitaFlex technique right here. And I'm going to show you a zoomed in, just a little 20-second video of my hands doing VitaFlex technique, because I want you to understand the most important part of VitaFlex, not that your technique is perfect, but just understanding how it works and how you want to make sure that you're, driving those oils up those nerve endings. And then here he's foot VitaFlexing. So he's got somebody on a table and he's demonstrating how to do foot VitaFlex. Here he's demonstrating how to drop the oils on the spine and then how to do feathering. So you drop the oils on the spine, you feather them into the spine. I told you the two main techniques that you're using are VitaFlex and feathering. That's most of what you do. It's going to seem when I present tonight that all of the techniques are, you spend equal length of time on them. But when you look through the cheat sheet, you're spending most of your time doing feathering and VitaFlex and not most of your time doing the other techniques. So don't beat yourself up. Gary took this technique and he taught it everywhere, like everywhere. I mean, he was he was doing raindrop on horses and animals, and using it on people that were paralyzed, and just to give them better quality of life, if anything, emotionally. From an emotional standpoint, he'd use it for emotional release. He has an emotional release version of this using the feelings kit. There's so many things that you can do to springboard off of this training. It's pretty amazing. So don't feel like you have to have it perfect. I hope that's the message I can convey tonight. Just get out there, do it, and the Lord will put the oils where they need to go on the spine. Mary says, I did a class from your book and they love it. I had 3 people sign up. That's awesome. That's awesome, Mary. I'm so excited. I hope you like this PowerPoint. We put a lot of work into it to making it easy to share and looking really good so that you look really good. So electromagnetic energy. We talked about VitaFlex technique. That's one of the 2 main techniques in doing raindrop. And that's the one you'll probably feel the least confident in. And it's okay. It's all right. I want you, when we're done with this PowerPoint, to go look at the little videos, grab your kids, grab your husband, and just throw them on your bed and practice it sometime this week. Just practice VitaFlex, practice feathering, practice some of these techniques. So let's talk about energy for just a second, because I want to debunk some of the fear around some of the language. I said the word electric, and I said the word energy, and to non-oilers and to new oilers, that's some pretty unusual language. So let me calm your concerns for just a moment. If it sounds crazy, I want you to consider that God made the brain to work on electrical currents. And he also created neurons in your body that pass signals and give each organ information as it functions throughout the day. Those messages get passed up and down the spine at a rate of 180 miles an hour, according to the Winston Medical Center. The human body is sending 11 million bits per second to the brain for processing through the conscious, though the conscious mind seems only to be able to process about 50 bits per second. So our body's electrical energy and its messaging system are things that have been repeatedly measured by scientists. Their existence is irrefutable. That means that there's no need to fear the frequency of the human body in terms of energy or in terms of electricity. It's simply something that God created, and it's something that we're still learning about. So let's take this up just a notch. And I'm going to stop stop my share for a second because I just want to look you guys right in the eye when I talk about this, because this is something that's really scary, especially for Bible believing Christians. We just flip out about the word energy and chakras. I want to debunk some of that stuff because, guys, God designed the human body. He made the electrical points. He made the energy of the human body. He made those little nerve bundles that we have called chakras. Like, he created all of that stuff. So God gets the glory for all of the things that he created. God spoke the world into existence with his own voice. So if you could record this, it has a frequency that you'd be able to see on a computer screen in software as a sound wave. It's a literal vibration. Oils have a vibration. The human body has a vibration. When I'm anchoring news, this is my microphone. This is the studio that I do news in. These are my computers, and I have a program called Adobe Audition. It's the industry standard for doing news. And you can see when I talk into my microphone, a vibration. You can see the vibration of my voice. It's something that's measurable. The frequency of the human body is measurable. The frequency of the oils is measurable. So it's not something that's scary. And so there's a vibration when God spoke. When I speak, I can see it in Adobe Audition. I can see the sound waves of my own voice. When God spoke the world into existence, it is the vibration that began creation, right? He's the one that started frequency. He's the one that started vibrations. God said what he created was good, and that energy has been in constant motion since the dawn of time. And if you do not believe me, go open Genesis 1:1 and go read how everything started. It started with God's voice. Right? His voice has a frequency, it has sound waves. So this might be something that's like blowing your mind and you've never even heard this before. But I just want to speak some truth into this because I know frequency is something that's really weird. I'm in the process of writing a second script book right now. And one of the classes in there is going to be on frequency of essential oils, because I just want to pull some of the fear out of this language, especially as Christians. We just kind of freak out about this stuff, and we don't need to, because energy has been something that's been there since the very beginning, since life began on the earth. God said what he created was good, and that energy has been in constant motion. So it's not something that we need to be afraid of. It's just not something we talk a lot about. So when I speak of raindrop in terms of electricity, electric currents, shooting messages up nerve pathways to the brain or to certain organs, there is a scientific and a biblical precedent for that kind of language, even though it's not regularly discussed around the dinner table. Isn't kind of funny, though, that it's what the Bible starts off with? Like, literally one of the first things in Genesis 1:1 talks about God speaking. And it talks about light, which is energy. So like the very, very beginning of creation starts with frequency, electrical currents, vibration, energy, it starts with all of that. And yet we just kind of skip over that. We look at Adam getting created and the rib being taken from him and Eve getting created. But actually before that, there was frequency and there was light. God created the light, right? He created all of it. So I'm really hoping that this helps debunk some of the weird things that we talk about with oils, because they're really truly not weird at all. They're at the very beginning of the Bible. So we got to lay that foundation for the discussion of energy for you to truly understand the science behind why raindrop technique is so unique and so powerful. And it's going to take some of the fear out of the language that I'm using. The spine is a super highway where all of the nerves emerge, and the absorption of essential oils enhance the electrical flow along the neural pathway. So it means that the oils have access to all parts of the body, including organs, glands, tissue, muscles, and all major body systems. God made no mistakes when he created energy. He made no mistakes when he created you, and God gets all the credit for what he created. And it's just so neat to know that we can use an oil with the science of electrical currents side by side, that we can take something scientific that we understand, that's measurable, that we can see, and literally utilize that information and use it with essential oils. I mean, that's just the creativity and the innovation of Gary Young. He really was a walking genius. He was the oils whisperer. So now let's talk just a little bit about frequency and chemistry, and then I'll go back to my slide deck. I wanted to look you guys in the face when I was talking about energy, because as I'm discussing some of the stuff, it's kind of scary. If you're not used to the terminology before, you'd be like, okay, that chick's a wacko. End video, right? I don't want to do that. I want to get you guys excited, and I want to debunk some of the stuff that scares us a little bit. So how do the oils work when they hit your body? What is the science behind when I put an oil on my body, and all of a sudden I feel a change. What on earth is going on? There's two reasons why essential oils work in the human body. I'm just laying kind of a scientific foundation for you guys. So when I describe Raindrop, what I'm describing makes sense to you. Reason number one is electrical frequency. And this is what we were already talking about at the beginning. The oils in Raindrop work for two reasons. So the first reason is their electrical frequency is higher than the human body. If we measure it, it's higher than what our body is emitting. It raises the body's frequency when applied to the skin topically, and it does that by being shot up the nerve pathways using that technique I mentioned earlier, VitaFlex, which makes and breaks currents between the person getting the raindrop, the receiver, and the person giving the raindrop, the facilitator. So slight pressure is applied to the body, and it creates an electrical charge that is therapeutic to the body. It's known as piezoelectric energy, and it accumulates and it travels in biological matter like bone, like DNA, and like proteins. The great inventor Nikola Tesla famously said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything has a vibrational frequency, including you, me, your table, your neighbor's cat, non-biological material like quartz and essential oils. At the smallest level of our reality, we're made out of molecules, and not just molecules, but molecules in motion that vibrate with life. The average frequency of the human body is between 60 and 78 megahertz. Oils, plants, and people contain frequencies outside the range heard by the human ear. Essential oils have frequencies from 52 megahertz to 320 megahertz, and some have claimed that essential oils have the highest frequency of any organic substance on the earth. Rose is the highest at 320 megahertz, although there is some research that's indicated that Idaho blue spruce can reach frequencies up to 580 megahertz. So not only can frequency be measured, but it can also be changed. Skeptics say that raising your frequency sounds like hippie voodoo, but scientists have actually measured what happens when you calculate the frequency of the body, place an essential oil on the skin, and you create, you place that oil on the skin with a higher frequency, and then you measure the body again. The frequency increases. So a tiny molecule of oil that's smaller than a virus has the impact to increase the frequency of the human body. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, you can check out some research on Bruce Tyno, or you can wait for the second script book that is in production. It's a ways out, so it's going to be a while, but it's going to contain that entire frequency and oils class that will go into far more detail on that. So reason number two that oils work, I hope that was a good discussion of frequency and helps you understand a little bit more, is chemistry of essential oils. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on chemistry of essential oils because I want to keep this class super compliant, but I will tell you that it's a vast subject. It's extremely complex, and it's significantly more complicated than your average high school chemistry class. It's a subject that Gary Young excelled in. His knowledge of aroma chemistry is what allowed him to create incredible blends like Valor and Stress Away. By understanding how the molecules accent each other in a compound, you can create the most incredible blends. We'll cover a smidge of it of introductory aroma chemistry in the blending class in this book. Yes, I have written an entire class on how to professionally blend oils, and I'm so excited about that class. That's something that we'll be covering every single week. We do classes from the script book. That's what this boot camp is all about. This week is Raindrop. Next week, we're going to take the week off for the Young Living International Grand Convention. But then the week back after that, we'll be back with feelings and emotions and emotional release. And I'm really excited about that class. So this is a subject, chemistry, that Gary Young really excelled in. His knowledge of aroma chemistry is what allowed him to create incredible blends like Valor and Stress Away. By understanding how the molecules accent each other in a compound, you can create some pretty incredible blends. I mean, really incredible ones. So if you want a thorough whooping on aroma chemistry, you can check out the most detailed book on the entire earth. It's called The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple, and it's by Dr. David Stewart. He was a gifted scientist with 30 years at the U.S. Geological Survey. He had multiple degrees in science-related fields, and he had a knack for making complicated things easier to understand. He's actually the gentleman that designed the CARE School. And I would really recommend that you take this PowerPoint You teach it to your teams, you get them excited, and then you take some of your top leaders and you go do a care school with them. I spent the pandemic doing that with my team and flying to Cleveland, Ohio and doing a care school there, and flying to, New York and doing a care school there with my upper leaders. And it's really kept my leaders engaged. And it teaches them a really valuable skill that they're going to use for the rest of their life when they are training on essential oils. There's just so many uses of Raindrops. So this is just a shout out to David Stewart, who is the director of the Care School. He just passed away last year. This is the last picture I have of him before he passed away. It's taken just a couple weeks before he died. That's actually a shirt that I gave him. It says, "Keep calm and Gary on." David Stewart and Gary Young were good friends. And the man standing next to him is Anthony Stewart, who is David's son, and he's now the global director of the Care School, and just a really treasured friend of our family. And I would highly recommend that you guys go look up the Care School, get into it, learn this technique, because this is meant to be an introduction to get you guys excited about care and to get you guys excited about learning Raindrop technique. We can only teach it so far without having you in front of me, having people on a table, and having you demo it. So take it home, do your amateur, Raindrop. But my hope is that many of you guys do get to a care school and you get to have Anthony or a care instructor. There's dozens of them around the United States and even around the world that are really good at standing next to you and checking your technique, repositioning your hands. So please learn it on an amateur level here and now. But I would love to see you get plugged into a care school and really, have somebody check your technique and make sure that you're doing it the way that Gary would want it remembered. So I will tell you this. The second reason that oils work in Raindrop is because of their constituents. So it's not just what's going on electrically in the human body, but also chemically. There are tiny molecules in oils that enact change in the human body. I mean, they calm you down, they wake you up, they offer a whole host of things written in oils reference guides printed around the world. That, though, is for you guys to study on your own. Stories of oils use are readily available in print or with a quick search on the internet. I can tell you that about 100% of things that you want to use oils for, you can do it with Raindrop. So if you want some breathing support, you can do the Raindrop technique. And when you get to a place, there's a spot right in the middle where you can add additional oils. That's where I would throw in a little Deep Relief and Eucalyptus Blue and Raven and RC and Raven Sarah, throw a couple of things in that that would be good for breathing. Or if you've got some pain going on in the human body, when you get to that place in Raindrop where you can add additional oils in, throw some extra oils in, throw some Deep Relief in there and some ortho-ease and all sorts of stuff. So you can make Raindrop do whatever you need it to do, which is pretty amazing. And it works because of the constituents that are in the oil. So this is the chemistry of essential oils we were just talking about. Each drop of oil has hundreds of constituents, and those constituents go by certain names like D-limonene, thymol, carvacrol. When you distill them properly, you maintain the integrity of what God designed in the plant. It's the part of the plant that it uses to heal itself. So distilling it the right way is critical. For example, when Young Living distills cypress oil, it has 288 naturally occurring constituents in its chemical makeup. If you were distilling that oil at a temperature 10 degrees higher or 10 degrees lower, it would only have 11 constituents. The rest would be destroyed. So how you get the oil out of the plant is so important. And Young Living does it the right way. Because of the seed to seal premium standard where the oils are saved from the farm to the bottle, Raindrop is a lot more potent using Young Living oil. They're the only oils that I can recommend safely for a Raindrop session because you're just using so much oil on the body. Next question, why is it called Raindrop? Why is it the Raindrop technique? Well, Raindrop gets its name from the style of the application of the oils. When you're working on the spine, they're dropped directly from the bottle, which is held about 6 inches above the skin, and it stimulates the effects of rain falling gently onto your back. It's very relaxing. It's very comforting. The body's electromagnetic field extends about 3 inches from the body. So when you drop an oil just above that height, then that means the oils can interact with the body's electrical field on the way down, and it enhances the electromagnetic properties of the oils as they penetrate the skin. The oils are applied neat, undiluted, although you are going to have ortho-ease and you're going to have V6, which come in the Raindrop kit. You have those beside you if you see any redness. So the following oils, every time I move my face, I end up putting it right in front of the words. The following Young Living essential oils are used in this order. You've got Valor, oregano, thyme, basil, wintergreen, marjoram, cypress, peppermint, aromaceas, and then, ortho-ease as well. So you got Valor is your electrical oil, oregano and thyme are phenols, high phenol oil. So they go in and open those doorways to the cells. They're wiping those doors off, getting them clean. You got the Three Sisters, wintergreen, marjoram, basil, wintergreen, and marjoram. Then you got cypress, which is your oil for the lymph. It's going to help in circulation. Cypress trees grow near water, so it's your circulation oil, gets everything moving. You just released a lot of stuff out of the cells, so we're going to push it to the exit points. And then aromaceas is for your muscles, and peppermint's a driving oil, and it supports the liver, which has to process all the stuff that you just got out of the body. So that's just a quick at a glance look at the oils that are in it. We're going to go through them oil by oil in just a second, and then I'm going to show you the techniques. Are you guys enjoying the class so far? Just kind of doing a little introduction to all things Raindrop. Tammy says, I'm working slowly on a list of the most common constituents and their actions and benefits. Each time I do research and research the oils, I try to make notes on their top 3 constituents. That's a great way of helping people. So what is Raindrop used for? Well, you don't need to be a licensed massage therapist or a chiropractor or a reflexologist for Raindrop to be effective. The oils will work by supporting the body to come back into normal harmony by opening the energy flow of the body. So here's a quick generic checklist of some of the purposes that I've used Raindrop for. I've used it for immune support. So my kids are coming down with something. First thing I do is I throw them on my table and I do a Raindrop on them right away. I'll get thieves on their feet. I'll put some thieves vitality in their mouth. We get it going in the diffuser and I will do a Raindrop on them. If I have time, I will do the entire Raindrop technique. If I have more than one kid coming down with something, then I do what I call the 3-minute Raindrop, which we'll talk about at the end of this. But I've used this for immune support more times than I can count on my fingers and toes. You can use it for aiding the body's natural response to inflammation and injury. You can use it to ease discomfort after exercise. You got those muscles, those muscle aches. These are a lot of muscle oils in here. Oregano, cypress, basil, marjoram, wintergreen, aromaceas. Those are all great for muscles. Emotional release. These are also oils that, are chemically opening and purging things out of the cells, which means it's great for emotionally releasing. So if you're having a super bad day and you can't process stuff, man, I would find somebody close to you and have them do a Raindrop on you. Teach your spouse how to Vitaflex your feet at the very least. Supporting the respiratory, nervous, and circulatory systems. A gentle, natural detox by cleaning the doorway to the cells with phenols. And then soothing muscles, joints, and bones. So that's just a really quick list. I mean, there's literally tens of thousands of things that you can use Raindrop for, which is why I say it's the most practical technique in all of Young Living. Because Raindrop encourages the body to detox on its own, you may experience some mild after effects like headache, sinus drainage, crying, sneezing, emotional release. You might feel more tired because your body's really hard at work purging. It's really important to drink enough water. I was drinking mason jars of water and Ningxia while I was putting this PowerPoint together for you guys today. So make sure you're drinking enough water, about half of your body weight in ounces, especially right after the session. And you should be doing that for 3 to 4 days following a Raindrop session so that the things that you've released don't get reabsorbed back into the body. If you want to learn more about the uses of Raindrop, there's a wonderful book that you can read by Dr. David Stewart. It's called A Statistical Validation of Raindrop Technique. And Stewart looked at more than 14,000 Raindrop sessions, and he summarized the outcomes in his book. And it also gives 74 brief testimonials, all based on statistical data. And then there's a second book, and it's called Clinical Research, 100 Recent Peer-Reviewed Articles published 2009 to 2014. And that's wonderful if you just want to learn a little bit more about the uses of Raindrop. And then, of course, there's always Google as well. So let's shift gears here, and we're going to talk about the science of Raindrop and what the oils can do. And then we'll get into the actual technique. And I'm going to show you close-up videos of each technique so you can see how to do them. So is there, is there an effective way that you can do a Raindrop on yourself? I would say Vitaflexing your own feet. If you don't have anybody close to you, you can put the oils in an Epsom salt bath. you can't, Vitaflex your own spine. If you are a really gifted person, really gifted person, but you can Vitaflex your feet. If you are limber enough to pull your feet up and do that, that would be something. I would recommend that you train somebody near you to do it. One person that you're close with, find the one person on the earth that doesn't mind seeing your back and doesn't mind seeing your, your feet, and train that person. I mean, for me, for the last 6 years, it was my 12-year-old daughter that I trained to do it on me. And I'm just starting to teach my husband because my daughter is now getting married and I need another person to do Raindrop on me. So science of Raindrop, what the oils do. So there's a reason that you layer the oils in the order that you do. It's based on the constituents and on which part of the body the oils work best. So basically, you're going to start from the outside of the body and you're going to work your way in. Movement goes from the electrical field to the skin, to the voluntary and involuntary muscles, to the motor muscles, to the joints and the skeleton. Whoops, let me go back there. To the involuntary muscles of the heart and the diaphragm and the digestive tract, to the reproductive organs, to the nerves, to the circulatory system, and finally to the lymphatic system, which pushes everything out. So many of the constituents mentioned in the descriptions of each of these oils have varying properties that are really beneficial to your cells and your system. You're going to come across terms like phenols, sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, which are constituents. Phenols are responsible for cleaning the surface of the cells. Sesquiterpenes erase the misinformation or lies that the cells have been told over the years. So like medications that cover up old symptoms or bad food or air that's dirty or emotions. Monoterpenes restore the print of every cell that's been tainted back to its original state in the way that it was created. And so I encourage you to explore these components and what they do. So again, the three things, constituents wise that work in the body are phenols, your cleaners, monoterpenes, which restore the print of the cell and kick things out of the cell, and then sesquiterpenes, which erase. Your sesquiterpenes do the erasing and monoterpenes do that reset for the cell. So let's take a closer look and why you want to do the oils in this order. And if you don't remember the order, let me go back a couple slides. It's Valor, oregano, thyme, basil, wintergreen, marjoram, cypress, aromaceous, peppermint. Because when you start with Valor, you're starting with the outside of the body in the electrical field. Oregano and thyme are cleaning. Basil works deeper in the body on those voluntary muscles. Wintergreen's working on, even deeper in bones and skeleton. And marjoram is working even deeper beyond that. And cypress is working with your lymph as your body's trying to process everything in your circulatory system. And then peppermint is driving it in and giving liver support. So now we're going to go through these like closely. Okay, so Valor contains camphor wood oil, black spruce, blue tansy, frankincense, and geranium. It helps balance the body's electricity, and it stimulates the spine. So you're starting from the outside of the body, and we're going to be working our way deep in. It affects the limbic lobe in a way that improves self-image. This is the oil of courage, confidence, and self-esteem. Now think about this, guys. If you got somebody on your table and they're almost butt naked, right? They just got their underwear on or maybe a pair of leggings. They're not super comfortable that the top half of their body is exposed. They're nervous. Maybe they're in a room with you and they've never been in a room with you like this before. So they're tense. Maybe there's more than one person in that room. Maybe you're teaching or training. They're nervous. So this is the oil of courage, right? It's the oil of confidence and self-esteem. It contains esters, monoterpenes, and sesquiterpenes. Oregano is high in phenylpropanoids. So these constituents are used to clean the doorway of the cells. It's like sending your front line into the battlefield. It's prepping the way for the other oils to be able to do their work. It's improving communication. Oregano is one of the top immune support oils. Thyme oil. Oh, we got a little video on oregano. Let me show you this. I love inserting Young Living videos.
Oregano essential oil is a favorite when it comes to massages, diffuser blends, and culinary creations. The word oregano comes from the Greek terms oros and ganos, which means joy of the mountains. Fitting, since this joyful little herb is native to the mountainsides of Greece, Italy, and the Mediterranean. The oregano plant has vibrant leaves and purple flowers, which are steam distilled to produce oregano essential oil. Intimidated by the idea of using oregano essential oil? Don't be. We've got 6 must-try tips that you'll be eager to use ASAP. First things first, when using oregano oil, you have to dilute it. For topical application and when taking internally, be sure to use a carrier oil at a 1:4 ratio. Ready to combat fatigued muscles? With this combo, you'll recover from sitting in an office chair and rigorous workouts in a pinch. Try a raindrop. Our proprietary raindrop technique is a massage that provides unbeatable relaxation. Oregano is an essential step because it is warming and soothing. Air it out. Oregano is an excellent pick when you need to get rid of unwanted aromas. Now that you're an expert on oregano's topical and aromatic uses, try your hand at its internal benefits as well. Spice it up. Oregano Vitality has an herbaceous, spicy flavor and is just the touch you need to take your dishes to the next level. Get supplemental support. Make it a daily habit to take Oregano Vitality with V6 in a vegetable capsule for digestive cleansing and antioxidants. Excited about all the oregano essential oil uses? Reap even more of its benefits with Inu Power and OrthoSport Massage Oil. For more tips and tricks on oregano and all things essential oils, visit us at youngliving.com.
Don't worry, I don't have videos on every oil, but if I find something really good, I like to kind of slip it in there so that you guys can see it. So we talked about oregano. The next oil is thyme, and this works in much the same way. So this is an oil really high in phenols. It's good for immune support. It's known for that phenolic content. It's supporting the body's natural defenses. We call these two the duo, so oregano and thyme, because they work in tandem with each other and they're very powerful. First, you balance the body's energy with valor, and then you go in and do some cleaning to prepare for the last 6 oils. There are 7 different chemotypes and over 300 varieties of thyme oil. Young Living's thyme is Thymus vulgaris CT thymol, which contains 60 to 70% thymol. It's harvested in the fall and has 2 common names, thyme and red thyme oil. Thyme is recorded in the Ebers Papyrus, which is one of the oldest Egyptian medical texts on record. It dates back to 1550 BC. It's a hot oil, so it's purgative and stimulating, and it clears space so that things can move. So this is an oil, you might see some redness on the spine, and you might need to put down some of that V6 carrier oil to make the person on your table a little more comfortable. Basil. We're now into the 3 sisters, which is basil, wintergreen, and marjoram. These oils are still high in phenols, but also they're really high in monoterpenes, right? So we want to go in and just kick all that stuff out of the cell. So if you research the science on constituents, they got a knack for kicking things out of the cell that shouldn't be there and then resetting the cell back to the way that it was created. I like to call it factory reset mode. Since the doorway is wide open because of the cleansing done by oregano and thyme, it's good to use the 3 sisters after the duo. Basil is relaxing to the voluntary and involuntary muscles like the arms, legs, back, abdomen, neck, and face. So first we work with the energy fields with valor and emotions and grounding. Then we clean those cell doors with oregano and thyme. And then next, we move to the muscles just under the skin. So this oil might also help to sharpen your sense of smell. It's good for fatigued muscles and mental stress. Basil comes from the Greek word basilium, meaning king. Basil is contained in Hildegard's book, Physica. Hildegard von Bingen, 1098 to 1179, was known as the first herbalist and a naturopath of the Middle Ages. The next oil in our lineup is wintergreen. This is very good for muscles. So it supports the joints and the skeletal structure. When you're raindropping wintergreen after basil, you're moving from the muscles to the deeper level of the bones. It contains 95 to 99% methyl salicytate. Birch and wintergreen are the only plants in the world that naturally contain it. Now, this oil gets a bad rap for reactions, but I really believe it's underused. Most of the problems associated with using essential oils are that people are using food grade or natural oils that are adulterated, and they're not intended for therapeutic use. The Native Americans chewed wintergreen when they were running long distances to increase their endurance and their respiratory capacity. This plant is known for being cooling and soothing and for increasing alertness. Marjoram essential oils relaxing to the involuntary muscles like the heart, the diaphragm, the digestive tract, and the reproductive organs. It's soothing to the nerves and for occasional nervous tension. You're now working deeper than the muscle layer into the organs of the body and the nervous system, and you're sending messages down the spine. Marjoram is about half monoterpenes, which are stated to have antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Marjoram has been called the joy of the mountains. The Romans call it the herb of happiness, and it's also nicknamed the plant of love and longevity. That scent is spicy and woodsy. The ancient Greeks used this herb to transition through physical death by releasing negative feelings. So what we're doing is now we went even deeper. We went from wintergreen and those muscles into the involuntary muscles like your heart, your diaphragm, and your digestive tract and your reproductive organs. So you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into the body with each of these successive oils. Cypress is the next oil. It serves a completely different purpose. Once you've balanced the energy and cleaned the cell doors and improved communication and worked your way deeper into the body by kicking things out of the cells that shouldn't be there, the body needs a leg up with circulation. So cypress is a major circulation oil. The cypress trees grow near water and they're good at pushing things out. Cypress also works closely with lymph nodes for the same reason. All that muck floating around is now making an exit. So when we get to the technique section, I'm going to talk about the cypress thunder shower. You're going to want to be really generous with this oil, like rain in a thunderstorm, because it's so good at getting things moving. Cypress is 14% sesquiterpenes, which kick the yuck from the cells after they've been cleaned out, and 76% monoterpenes, which restore the cells back to those factory settings. This is the way God intended the cells to work. So cypress is spiritually grounding. It helps us to accept change. It helps us to feel more secure with ourselves. It helps us eliminate what was stagnant. The oil is warming and comforting, and experts believe that it helps us distinguish which changes are best for us. Any oils from trees like Palo Santo, cedarwood, frankincense are very stabilizing. They're very grounding and they help you feel secure. So if you're moving to a new house, maybe diffuse some of those oils because they really will help you feel secure. Then aromaceas. This contains basil, marjoram, lavender, peppermint, and cypress. It's calming and relaxing and relieves tension. It's good for relaxing muscles that just got to work out on your massage table. Aromaceas contains monoterpenes, esters, and phenols, and this oil is great of letting go of negative memories that are stored at that cellular level, and it helps us to be consistent in work or projects. So if you're having a hard time being consistent with your business or consistently teaching or consistently doing the things you need to be doing, this is a good consistency oil. And the last one of our players is peppermint. This supports the digestive, respiratory, and nervous systems. It's also really good for the liver. And you remember, you just released all that stuff out of the cells. So the liver's going to need a little love after you're going through this technique. So this is a synergistic oil. We're just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the body. And we're ending with the circulatory system and supporting the liver. So you see why we do the oils in this order, because you're doing energy field, you're doing the outside of the body and the skin, you're getting through the skin into the voluntary muscles, then you're getting past the voluntary muscles into the involuntary muscles, you're wiping those cell doors, you're kicking stuff out that shouldn't be in there, you're doing that little factory reset, and then when everything's getting kicked out of the cells, then you give a little support to the circulatory system with cypress as it's pushing and moving, and then finally you use your driving oil, peppermint, and give a little liver love to the liver. So you understand why we do oh good, Gay says some states say you can't do massage if you're not certified. Well, the nice thing is this isn't massage, so you'll be okay doing this technique. So peppermint is really high in phenols, but it contains 9% sesquiterpenes. It's known in Raindrop as a driving oil, and it pushes all other oils deeper into the body, and that's why it's used last. This oil is good when there's resistance to learn a new subject, like maybe Raindrop, right? Or move in a new direction. It cools and calms the mind and eliminates fear of the unknown. There's a wonderful study by Dr. Dembar from the University of Cincinnati that looks at mental accuracy of a student while inhaling peppermint oil. Go check that out. Then we've got Ortho Ease and our massage oils. But before we do that, let's do a little peppermint love here for 60 seconds from Young Living. Bam. So just a little bit of peppermint love there. So ortho-ease and V6. One of you guys asked me, isn't peppermint used before aromases? Technically it is, because you're using it when you're vitaflexing the feet. But when you're working on the back, you're going to do aromases first and then peppermint. So it doesn't really matter which order you have them in, because they're flipped on the feet versus the back. So you can do either one. All right. Ortho-ease, that's this oil right here. We already talked about V6 if you see any redness on the skin when you're doing the technique. Ortho-ease, we haven't talked about. Now, this is a massage oil blend containing wintergreen, peppermint, juniper, eucalyptus globulus, lemongrass, marjoram, thyme, eucalyptus radiata, and vetiver. It's great for muscles. Its primary purpose in Raindrop is to seal the oils to the skin so they don't evaporate into the air before getting absorbed. It's similar to Ortho's Sport massage oil, but the phenol content is lower and the warming sensation is not quite as strong. Gary picked Ortho-ease, and we have a whole class on the massage oils in the massage section in the script book. So I'm actually going to be teaching on the differences between all the different massage oils when we get to that class. So make sure you come back for the classes on Tuesday nights. They're super fun. Gary picked Ortho-ease instead of straight V6 because this massage blend is soothing to the muscles. In other words, it's going to feel like you've had a massage when you haven't, and it makes you look really good as a facilitator. So what the Raindrop oils do at a glance: you got Valor for the body's electrical field, oregano and thyme, high phenol oils are the cleaners, basil is your voluntary and involuntary muscles, wintergreen, joints and skeleton, marjoram, involuntary muscles like the heart and also works on nerves, cypress is your lymph system and it pushes everything out, circulation, and peppermint supports the liver. So you guys see why we do them in that order. You're starting from the outside of the body, you're working your way all the way in. So this is one of the longer scripts in the script book, but I feel like we're soaring through it. We're more than halfway through and we're doing great on our time today. So this is one of the longer scripts in the script book because it requires some pre-training for you to understand about energy and frequency and chemistry and sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, and phenols and what all the oils do and why we do them in that order, and technique training. And so if you were doing this in a care school format, it'd be about 25 hours of intense training over 4 days. And I really do believe that that is worth every single penny. So what are we going to cover in the second half of this class? We're going to do some human anatomy, some technique training, what to do before you start, how to do a raindrop, and I'm going to give you that one-page cheat sheet. We're actually going to upload this cheat sheet to my website so you guys can print it off in full color, laminate it, and use it forever. So if yours get damaged that you got in your teacher's editions, or if you only have the Oiler edition, we're going to give that away to you guys for free, just as a thank you for using my resources, for sharing them with other people, for going to Amazon and leaving ratings on my books. That means so much to me. Going to my website, oilabilityteam.com, and leaving ratings on my website. If you like this content, you like the books, if you share it, you're blessing me so much. So I'm really, really grateful for you guys. We're going to talk about what to do before you start, how to do the raindrop with that cheat sheet, alternatives to raindrop and giving a raindrop to yourself, and then some continuing education. So let's start with human anatomy. When you do a raindrop training with the care school, you're going to be handed a packet with drawings of the hands and the spine and the feet and all the nerves that correspond with each organ. And so then you're going to know where to place the oil. The packets are wonderful. It's another reason to go do the school because it's so good. However, to the average mom, they can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm hoping this is a good introduction to you guys, and then you go do something a little more with it. So I'm going to give you a few general tips from somebody with absolutely no medical background whatsoever. My background is radio. I'm a radio network news anchor, which means I have no medical training. So I'm going to teach you guys from that vantage point as a mom who just does this technique, on my kids, because that's where most of us are coming from. We're not all medically trained. So the organs will pretty much line up with, let me move myself over again. They'll pretty much line up with where the nerves are in the body on the spine. So what do I mean by that? The nerves are going to follow the general order of how the organs are laid out in the body. The nerves for your brain are at the top of the spine. So they're all the way up here, and we're just looking at on the feet too. They're at the top, right? The nerves for your heart are about a third of the way down. So if we're looking for your heart, Your heart's right here, right in the kind of the top center of the foot. So same thing. If you're looking down the spine, it's about a third of the way down. The nerves for your kidneys are near the lumbar section. The nerves for your colon are near your tailbone. So they're all the way down here on your feet. And same thing, they're pretty low on the spine. You don't need to have a degree in anatomy to understand where to place the oils. If you're in the general area, they're easily absorbed into the skin and they will go where they need to go. If you get confused, just go to Google and type in spine VitaFlex chart or foot VitaFlex chart or hand VitaFlex chart, and you'll have all the charts that you need in case you're not sure if your liver is above your ovaries, right? But as a rule of thumb, just aim for the general area and you're probably close enough. Because you're working on the spine, which is pretty hard to miss, you're already along a nerve highway. So if you're an inch or two too high or an inch or two too low, the oil's going to travel because of the techniques that we're doing and because of the fact that you're doing it on the spine. It travels on the spine, right? So when you're VitaFlexing the feet, however, it's a little bit of a different story. There's one important thing to keep in mind with the feet. Stay on the nerves that come from the spine running alongside the inside of your foot. So if you're several inches off on the feet, you're probably missing the nerve altogether. So I want you guys to notice, you see the spine is right along the edge of the foot. It's not on the side of the foot. It's not in the middle of the foot. It's right along the edge. So if you're VitaFlexing right here, you're probably missing the nerve bundles of the spine. If you're on the side of the foot, you're probably missing the nerve bundles of the spine. So you want to start low enough that you're hitting all of this goodness. Don't start VitaFlexing right here. Start VitaFlexing down here. And you don't want to stop, right here. You want to go all the way to the toe because that's where the brain is, right? So you're going to start VitaFlexing down here and you're going to see me VitaFlex all the way up to the toe and then give the toe some love. So make sure you're not on the side of the foot. Make sure you're not in the center of the foot. Make sure you're not starting here, but you want to start low enough to get the colon, and make sure you don't stop before you get to the top and you get to the brain. That's the best description that I can give you on the feet. If you were to put both of your feet together and they were touching, they literally look like a little road map of the human body. It's as if you flayed the spine and put one on one foot and one half on the other. The brain is on the big toe, and that's where those nerve endings come out. The lungs you'll find on the top third of both feet. So you've got the lungs here and the lungs here because you have two lungs, right? But there's just one liver. So the liver's only on the right side. It's only on the right foot. And it's under the lung on the right foot because it's on the right side of your body. Your colon crosses both halves of your body. So your colon's on both feet. So your colon starts over here and, it goes all the way over and down and all the way out. So you're going to be VitaFlexing, you're going to be VitaFlexing both sides because it's on both sides of the body. So, and then, you've got the same thing is going for your eyes. It's on both sides of the body, your ears, you've got them on both sets of toes, sinuses. And so do you see a pattern? If you were to put your two stinky feet together, you would have a whole human body mapped out like a treasure map. You're going to put oils on these points and you're going to be shooting them up the nerve. So if you're VitaFlexing the foot and your hand is going up the center of the foot, or you slide up on the outside, you're nowhere near the spinal points, stay on the bottom of the foot if you want the most impact. So that's your uber simple anatomy lesson. I don't have all the vertebra memorized in the spine. I'm not sure if I'm placing an oil at T3 or T5, and yet I've had many successful raindrop sessions. So this falls in the category of not needing to be perfect, but just going out and blessing people and taking care of them, because the Lord loves to use little people to do big things. So if you're scared that you don't know it all or that your technique isn't perfect, I want you to stand on top of your fear and serve. People are missing the blessing of what you do know. So now we're going to take the last part of this class and we're going to do a little thing on techniques of raindrop, and I'm going to teach you these techniques. And then I'm just going to do a top down run with the cheat sheet. And if you want to see a full hour-long demo, I'm going to give you guys a link that you can go watch a full demo of it that Young Living has already put together. But I want to focus on technique training with you guys so that you understand how to do these things. So there are 8 different techniques that you are going to use during raindrop. And generally, you're going to spend about 70% of your time VitaFlexing. And so I tell you, you're going to feel a little weird doing VitaFlex. You're going to spend about 20% of your time feathering, and the remaining 10% split up among the final 7 techniques. So if you got your VitaFlex and your feathering down, you got like 80% of this, down, all right? 90% of it. So Young Living has put together some short videos showing each technique up close with a professional camera. What I did was I zoomed in even closer because I really wanted you to see the electrical, what you need to do to make them break that electrical circuit. So after I describe them, you can go watch each of the videos, or you can just look at them in this PowerPoint because we've inserted them in the PowerPoint. So the techniques are Valor balancing, Vitaflex, feathering, finger circles, thumb Vitaflex, finger straddle saw maneuver, stretch and rock, palm slide, and then your angel wings. So I did not demonstrate Valor balancing because you're literally just putting drops of oil on your hands and holding somebody's shoulders. And then you maintain contact with them and you go down and you hold their feet. And when you hold their feet, you got your arms crossed and you're going to hold it about halfway down the foot. That's it. So I will insert some pictures in the PowerPoint so you can see what Valor balancing looks like, but it's as hard as holding on to shoulders. It's really not a full technique, I don't think. So we're going to start with, that's what Valor balancing is. We're going to start with Vitaflex when I show you the videos. But let me share a little story with my husband with Valor balancing first, because I just think it's so cool. I'm going to describe these techniques to you, and then we'll just run through the cheat sheet and show you the order. And then I'll give you the link to watch a full hour-long demo. The purpose of this PowerPoint in this class is to introduce you to Raindrop, not to throw a person on my table and show you stuff from, 10 feet away. I want you to see these techniques really close up close so you can go and do the techniques. I want to train you to do this Raindrop technique on your family. So the first oil that you're going to use is Valor, and you're doing what I call the balancing technique. Have you ever had days when you're just constantly dropping your car keys, hitting your head on cabinets, spilling your drinks? Many believe that's because your energy field has flipped, and that can happen from stress, anxiety, a whole host of other reasons. It's said that Valor can bring you back into balance, and I don't fully understand the science of it, but I have seen it in practice in my own house. So I'm going to give you a story that you guys are welcome to share if you want to. I told my husband about this after I had some training, and he just rolled his eyes at me about the Valor balancing thing. And then the next week it actually happened in our home. For 4 days, my husband was dropping things. He was banging his head on the car door. He was spilling drinks. We lost a lot of groceries, and his keys spent more time on the floor than on the key rack. And so as I was getting in the car for a flight to Australia, he came over to the door and he mumbled almost incoherently to me. He's like, "You want to do one of those Valor balancing things on me, Valor balance me." And I just kind of nodded at him, and we went back in the house, and he lay down, and I put Valor on the palms of my hands and I held his shoulders. So whenever I'm doing a raindrop on somebody that I don't know particularly well, it can take a good 5 to 15 minutes for me to sync with them. So that would mean I'm feeling their heartbeat in my hands, or I just kind of feel their body slip into rest, or they just sort of they just sigh, but you can feel that you're ready to move on to the next technique. And that normally is the case. But when I'm working on my husband, it's like instant. It's like the minute I put my hands on him, because we're already in sync with each other. Or you're going to find if you're working with your best friend, like all of a sudden it happens way faster than people that you don't know. So when I finished just holding on to him for a couple of moments with the Valor on my hands, he hopped off my table. We left for the flight, and he called me a couple days later, and he said that he stopped dropping things instantly. And so now whenever he starts dropping things again, he's like, "Sarah, can you do that Valor thing on me? Do the Valor thing." He never calls it Valor balancing. He just calls it the Valor thing. And we've done it like a half a dozen times since that day. And I've had the same result every single time he stops dropping his keys. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't understand the science behind all of this, but I just absolutely love Valor balancing, right? I will go back. You guys have asked 674 questions. So it's hard for me to teach and answer your questions, but I'll go back through this and I'll answer your questions later tonight or tomorrow or later this week. I'll go through and answer them all. So don't feel like you don't have access to me. I just want to make sure I keep the class moving. All right. So to do the Valor balancing, you're going to apply 3 drops of Valor to your hands and to the shoulder of the person on the table. Then you stand at their head, you hold their shoulders for 5 to 15 minutes or until you feel a connection with them. Then you move to the feet. You apply 6 drops of Valor on each foot and 3 drops on each of your hands. While facing the body, you're going to cross your arms and you're going to hold on to the soles of the feet for 5 to 15 minutes. You're balancing. So you're crossing your arms so that your right hand is holding their right foot and your left hand is holding their left foot. And you continue to hold on to the person on the table until they slip into that place of rest. And I told you, you might feel their pulse or their heartbeat or them take a deep breath. So sometimes it takes a while for them to turn the world off in their mind and be prepared for the raindrop. And that's totally okay. So now we're going to move to VitaFlex technique. So VitaFlex was brought to the United States in the 1920s by Stanley Burroughs, who wrote an entire book on it called Healing for the Age of Enlightenment. And it's based on the belief that applying specific light pressure techniques to the body creates an electrical charge. I wish that I could explain this to you in a short paragraph, but the reality is this is the trickiest technique of all of them for you guys to learn. And you're going to feel sloppy when you learn it. Do not beat yourself up, because I've never met anybody who was learning Raindrop that thought their VitaFlex technique was perfect right off the cuff. So just practice it. And the more you do it, you'll get more confident. First, you want to clip your nails so that no white is showing. And this is always painful for me because I drink so much Ningxia that I have the most beautiful nails and I never need manicures, but I have no nails because I really wanted to shoot good videos for you guys. So you don't want any white showing. It's important that you do this. You're going to scratch the person receiving the technique, and then they're not going to like you and they're not going to relax. And that's not any fun. So second, you're going to line up your fingers in a straight row, like the Greek hoplite soldiers going into battle. There's no space between your fingers. They line up perfectly, no fingers above another. And then you place the top of your fingers against another person's skin in a straight line. This next step is the most critical in VitaFlex. So to remember how to do it, I want you to keep one sentence in your mind. Make a circuit, break a circuit. Make a circuit, break a circuit. Remember all your training on electrical currents. Well, now you're about to make an electrical current with your body and another person's body. So when you place the fingers on another person's skin, your fingers, your electrical current and their electrical current are touching. To shoot and oil up a nerve, you need that energy to start and stop. So when the nail bed of your finger is touching the skin, it's not conductive. It does not pass an electrical current, but the pads of your fingers do pass an electrical current. So I want you to line your fingers up like hoplites, and I want you to say this pattern in your head: pad, nail, bed. Pad, nail, bed. It's 3 steps: on the pad of the finger, which conducts electricity, up to the nail, which conducts electricity, and down on the nail bed, which does not conduct electricity. So you're going to make a circuit, break a circuit. You're going to go from being on the end of the fingers, the pads, to bending in such a way that all 4 nail beds are completely touching the skin. So I want you guys to practice it right now a couple of times on your skin, right on your forearm. You can practice pad, nail, bed, pad, nail, bed, pad, nail, bed. I know you can't see my little video very closely, but I actually recorded this and put it into the PowerPoint so you can see it up close. All right. So I want you to practice it. Draw a straight line and follow the line. Practice it on your leg. Practice it on your forearm or some unwitting family member who will sit for you. When you get good at this, you're going to move rather swiftly. So don't feel like you need to do it quickly to work, especially if you're just learning, because slow and steady will win the race. It's more important for you to make and break the circuit than to do VitaFlex really fast. You're going to be using this technique up the VitaFlex points for the spine that I just showed you on both feet. Once you get comfortable doing it on your arm or on a sheet of paper, grab a child near you and VitaFlex their feet. And follow the photo of the feet and start as low as you can go in the heel and go all the way up to the big toe, just like I showed you in the last picture. And you're going to VitaFlex that a few times until each of your fingers drop off. I like to call it giving the brain a little extra love. If you forget which side of the foot the colon is on, just look for the big toe, because that's where the colon is. So you're going to line up with that big toe every time. You always start on the right side at first, and then you go to the left side. So your right hand on the right foot and your left hand on the left foot. You're going to use this technique again later with just your thumbs on the spine. The spine is primary for feathering and all the other techniques, but we're going to do a little thumb VitaFlex at a later point. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is that people don't start low enough or go high enough with VitaFlex. If VitaFlex is started in the middle of the foot or on the side of the foot, like I showed you earlier, there's no spine there. So it's like there's no spine under your armpit. So the same goes when VitaFlexing or feathering the back. A common mistake is when VitaFlex is started halfway up the back or it stops at the shoulders. You want to go into the hairline. You want to go into the medulla, that soft tissue on the back side of the head at the base of the brainstem. That vagus nerve exits the brain right there in that soft spot and goes to every organ in the body. So, you want to go from the butt crack to the medulla is what I tell my team. If you start higher, you're not covering all the nerves of the colon or the stomach. And a lot of troubles seem to start in the gut. So you don't want to miss the colon or the stomach. And if you don't go high enough, you're losing access to the brain and the face and the limbic lobe and the dashboard of the body with the ears and the eyes and so much more. So go all the way into the hairline. So the first thing that we do is we do the well, and I'll show you the well in a minute, but let's take a closer look at VitaFlex. I think I have to unmute my video here.
Circuits.
There we go.
When
Let's start this again. Here we go.
To make sure that you're making and breaking circuits, when you're VitaFlexing, you want your fingers all the way on the pad, then all the way on the tip, and all the way on the nail bed. Pad, tip, nail.
Yeah. So I will see people kind of doing this with their VitaFlex,
To make sure
and
that
they
you're
don't
making and
flip
breaking
all the way
circuits,
over,
when-
but you want to flip all the way over to the nail bed. That's the most important thing I could train you guys on. So let's see this in action. Now I'm going to show you some foot VitaFlexing in this next really short video. So I'm all the way over, and you can go much, much slower than this if you need to. And see, we give that toe a little bit of extra love. So I'm going to play it again. Hopefully we have volume on it this time. Let's see. Maybe I didn't say anything during this video. So that's what VitaFlex looks like in action when you're VitaFlexing the feet. I'm going to play it one more time for you just so that you guys can see all the way at the beginning. I start all the way down at the heel and see how I'm going pad, and then all the way up in the top of my fingers, and then all the way to the nail bed, all the way over, even giving that love to the toe. All right, so that is VitaFlexing. Now let's talk about the well. So once you start Raindrop, you should always maintain skin-to-skin contact with the person that's on your massage table. You don't want to break the current. A good way of doing that while you're grabbing oils is to make a well. So let's take a look at this. So the back of my hand is always touching them, so I'm not breaking contact with them. Cup your hands to make a small well of oils, and then you're going to drop the oils in your palm. The back of your well can always be touching the feet that you're working on, so you never break contact. Once you've dropped oils into the well, you use the fingers on your other hand to make a paintbrush. Swirl your paintbrush clockwise 3 times, and then you're going to VitaFlex the feet. So, you'll be using that VitaFlex technique that I just showed you. You guys can go back and watch those videos over and over and over and over again. My VitaFlex is kind of fast because I've done Raindrop hundreds and hundreds of times on people, but you can do it nice and slow and just make sure that you're doing pad, tip, nail, right? That you're making and breaking those circuits. VitaFlex is by far the most difficult technique in Raindrop. And if you made it through that section and didn't feel super overloaded, or feeling overloaded, you're not alone, because most people need to see it quite a few times before they're okay with it. Young Living has a VitaFlex video that you can go watch, or you can watch it really closely in my PowerPoint as well. So the good news is, if you're not perfect at it, Raindrop is still going to work. You just get oils on their bodies, you give the techniques your best shot, and you never stop practicing. I want to see you guys right now doing VitaFlex on your forearms. Take a picture of you doing VitaFlex on your forearms, and I'll post a little VitaFlex contest as soon as we're done with the class. I'll put it up on the page, and I want to see your pictures, and I'll give away some stuff for it, because I just want to see you guys practicing, because practice is how you get good at it, right? So the secret to a good VitaFlex is just doing it again and again. So if you feel like you're not great at it, then you haven't practiced enough. So the next technique is feathering. And we're going to go through the rest of these much faster. We're in the last 15 minutes of the class. So I can tell that I did not do it the correct way. Yep, like flicking on a light switch. Exactly. You're going to make and break that circuit. Yep. So feathering and fanning. In the YouTube video that Young Living made, they call this spinal application. You can call it whatever you want. But when you're done VitaFlexing the feet, you have the recipient roll over face down, and you're going to keep them covered with a sheet for modesty. So the first part of Raindrop is done on the feet, and you're going to VitaFlex all the oils that we went through on the right foot and the left foot. And you're going to do it in sets of 3. So you start down at the bottom of the foot by the heel, and you VitaFlex up to the toe, and you do it 3 times with Valor on the right foot. And then you switch to the left foot, and you VitaFlex 3 times on the left foot with Valor. Then you put Valor away, and you go grab oregano, and you go over to the right foot, and you VitaFlex from the heel to the toe 3 times with oregano. And then you go over to the left foot, and you never make break bodily contact with them. Keep your well on their skin, so you're always touching them. You go to the left foot, and you VitaFlex oregano oregano 3 times on the left foot. So when you're done VitaFlexing and you've done all of the oils, then you have them roll over face down, and the rest of these techniques are done on the back. So feathering is a really simple technique that I briefly introduced to you earlier when we discussed the Lakota Indians. This technique is used with nearly every oil and raindrop. So for this, you're going to drop the oil about 4 to 6 inches above the spine. You only need to use 2 to 4 drops of oil. Less is better with this technique because a little bit goes a long way. So to begin the feathering sequence, you're going to use your nails, your fingernails and your fingertips to gently feather the oil into the spinal tissue for the entire length of the spine. Alternate hands as you move and cover each sequence 3 times and use very light pressure. So your left hand brushes against the spine for 3 inches, and then you interchange with your right hand for 3 inches. And then you continue to alternate your left and right hand until you're up into the hairline. This sounds complicated, but it's honestly the easiest technique in all of Raindrop. So you're going to complete the sequence 3 times. Why do we do things in sets of 3? Well, Gary believed deeply in the power of numbers, and especially biblical numbers. So in Raindrop and in many techniques, he believed that it drew the Holy Spirit into the room when you were working in biblical sets. You're going to see the steps referred to as 3, 6, 12. Just a couple of inches apart is described below. So 3 inches apart means that you're feathering the oils in 3-inch increments. 6 inches apart means you're feathering in 6-inch increments. And 12 inches apart means that you're feathering in 12, they're 12 inches apart where you place your hands. So with this one, you start with oregano. Only for oregano and thyme oil, you're going to add an additional technique called straight to sides feathering. And so when you're done feathering your spine, you're going to do the same technique with your fingernails, but instead of going up the spine in one motion, you're going to touch your fingers and go from the spine to the sides. And then with the remaining oils, basil, wintergreen, marjoram, cypress, valor, and peppermint, you're going to complete 3, 6, and 12, and you end with angel wings. So I can read this to you from a script, but it's a lot easier just to show you. So let's take a look at the feathering technique. This is my 16-year-old son, and I'm just going to show it to you up close. So with feathering, you're going to be 3 inches apart, then 6 inches apart, then 12 inches apart. And the touch is very light. 3 inches. You do that 3 times. And after 3 times, it's 6 inches. Really light touch. And then after 3 times of that, 12 inches. See how I'm starting really low and I go all the way into the hairline, right? And you're going to do that in sets of 3. So that's feathering. Crazy easy. Let's watch that one more time just so you guys have got it. So with feathering, you're going to be 3 inches apart, then 6 inches apart, then 12 inches apart. And the touch is very light. 3 inches. You do that 3 times. And after 3 times, it's 6 inches. Really light touch. And then after 3 times of that, 12 inches. All right, that's the feathering technique. So super, super easy. That and VitaFlex is most of what you're doing for Raindrop. So not too hard. Another thing that they tell you to do in the cheat sheet is feathering straight to sides. Sometimes you do this, sometimes you don't. So with oregano and thyme, you do this. So this is what feathering straight to sides looks like. Feathering straight to sides is in sets of 3, the same touch as feathering. 1, 2, 3. You go all the way up into the hairline. I'm going to pause here and show you full length strokes. Looks like this. See, not so bad at all. And you always do it in sets of 3, okay? So now we're gonna talk finger circles. Finger circles is the only technique where you could potentially injure the person that's on the table. So the trick is just to stay off the spine. You don't wanna jab their bones with each movement. If you look at the spinal bones, there's a little groove to the left and right that runs parallel to the spine, right up the neck. And we call that the laminar groove. You don't wanna cross that. So stay, just so you're not hitting the bones. If your fingers are slamming into the vertebra sideways as you're doing the circles, they could have some bruising and be really sore. So just if they have any disc or back issues, it could be uncomfortable. Just stay off the bones. If you can feel them, you're too close to the spine. You're going to stand on one side of the massage table and start at the sacrum. Line all your fingers up like hoplite soldiers and draw circles. So let's take a look at what this looks like. And again, you're going to do this technique in sets of 3. For finger circles, you want to line your fingers up like hoplite soldiers so they're in a row. Sit as though you're sitting on a horse, so you're not leaning over with your back. And then you want to pull the tissue away from the spine. And so it's going to be a movement like this, not pushing it back up toward the spine, but pulling it away from the spine.
and your fingers are doing most of the work. It's not your wrists, your arms, but your fingers are doing the pulling. The one thing you want to avoid is hitting the bones of the spine because that doesn't feel good. So watch this. 1, 2, 3, and you slide up. And you're going to do this all the way up the spine. Then you go to the other side and you work from the bottom of the spine up to into the neckline and all the way into the occipital lobe. So you're going to do this set 3 times. So I start on the left side, and then I move to the right, and I do left, right, left, right, left, right.
Finger circles. There you go. Not too hard. Whoops. The next thing is thumb VitaFlex, and it's also called the thumb roll. This one's unbelievably simple. You're going to stand at the head of the massage table, put both the hands down near the sacrum. That's the butt crack. And then have one thumb slightly higher than the other, and then use your pad, nail, bed technique from VitaFlex. You're going to make and break circuits. So here's thumb VitaFlex.
For thumb VitaFlex, you want to make sure that your thumbs are not next to each other or they'll hit each other. But you're going to do the same movement that you do for foot VitaFlex, where it's pad, then to the top of the nail, and then flip over to the nail bed. So you're making and breaking those circuits. And you don't need to do this fast to do it effectively. This is my favorite technique in Raindrop. I really like it. You can do it by standing at the head, which is slightly to the right of the head, or you can do it by standing to the side. I prefer standing by the head, but you can do whichever one feels most comfortable to you. The most important thing is that you're making and breaking that circuit up the spine. So thumb VitaFlex looks like this.
See, I'm all the way over on the nail when I do it. I just slow down because I usually go super fast on this one. But you guys can see, you got to flip to the pad and then flip to the nail, or you're not making and breaking those electrical currents, and go all the way up into the hairline. So you want to go all the way into the occipital lobe. You start at that butt crack and go all the way up. And you're going to do that 3 times. So that is thumb VitaFlex, not too bad. The next technique is finger straddle saw maneuver. This is much like finger circles. You're never going to apply direct pressure to the vertebra. You're going to put one hand at the sacrum, straddling the spine. Straddling means your pointer finger's on one side and your second finger's on the other side. Then you make a saw out of your second hand, and you make it look like your hands are glued together so that they work together to rock the body. You want to see the butt moving and rocking, right? While applying pressure just with the fingers on either side of the spine, move your hands back and forth from side to side and work your way from the spine to from the sacrum to the atlas. But don't put pressure on the actual spine. Your saw hand is the one that's doing the moving. So let's see what this looks like. This is finger straddle saw. So for finger straddle saw, you're going to make a saw out of your hands. And I take 2 fingers, you put them on either side of the spine, and then you take your saw and you set it on top of your nail beds, and that's 1 unit. It doesn't go like this. These stay glued together. And what you want is a rocking of the body. So it's going to rock slowly when you first start, and then when you get about halfway up the spine or 2/3, you're going to rock twice as fast. And you're using the strength of your arms to do this. I said, you're not sawing like this, you're sawing like this. So this is finger straddle saw. Fingers in place, my saw on top of my nails. I'm not on top of the bones. That doesn't feel good. So just on either side of the spine. And then this. I do 1, 2, 3, and then move up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I just work my way all the way up into his hairline.
And I can feel his body starting to go twice as fast. It's almost like a snake motion. So I increase what I'm doing.
So you go twice as fast when you get up into the shoulder blade area all the way up into the head. And that is finger straddle saw. Is this making sense to you guys? Is it neat to see it super close? Am I not diluting any of these hot oils? Janine, I don't have any oils on his body right now. I'm just showing you the techniques. So if you see redness, absolutely dilute it for sure. If it's somebody that's on a lot of medication, I'll only use 1 drop of the oils, and I might not even do both oregano and thyme. I just kind of ask them what their comfort level is. So stretch and rock, or the circle hand massage technique. So those are 2 different names for this technique. You're going to cross your hands over the spine. If your pinkies are touching, that is good form. You place your fingertips on one side of the spine and your thumbs on the other side. And while pushing down, you're going to pull your hands apart and stretch the skin. The purpose of all these techniques is just to get the oils into the skin in different ways, right? So you're going to be making a rocking or a shaking motion perpendicular to the spine. Work from the sacrum to the atlas, just like finger straddle saw maneuver. Repeat the technique 3 times. I was always told that if you can see the receiver's tush shaking on the table, you got a good amount of pressure. So it's just like with the technique that we just did. So here is your stretch and rock technique.
For stretch and shake, this is a pretty easy technique. You're going to plant your hands, spread your fingers apart, and shake 3 times. And you start at the base of the spine. You're working all the way up into the occipital lobe. So plant, stretch, 3.
Plant, stretch, 1, 2, 3. Plant, stretch. See how my pinkies are touching? Plant, stretch, 1, 2, 3. And my fingers are not on the spine. They're on either side of the spine. So you're not pushing on those bones. That is the stretch and rock or stretch and shake technique. And you're going to continue that all the way up into the occipital lobe. So palm slide is our second to last technique. For this one, you place both palms on the back of each side of the spine, one hand higher than the other, and you slide the palms in opposite directions, working up the length of the spine. This technique is really, really simple to do. It's almost like doing an Indian rub on somebody's arm, but with much less pressure. There's no redness from friction from what you're doing. One hand just goes across the spine and the other comes back toward you. You're going to start at the sacrum, just like the last 3 techniques. That's where your butt crack is, and you work all the way up to the atlas, even into the hairline and the occipital lobe, so you're not missing nerve pathways. So why do you work from the sacrum up to the head? Well, there's 2 answers. Number 1, you're pushing things out, and so that means you need to move them to the liver, and that movement from the sacrum to the atlas follows the design of the body. If you're starting at the head and working down, you're working opposite of the body. And number 2, Gary said, start at the coccyx, which is under the sacrum, at the lowest point of the spine, and move to the top. Always work directionally toward the brain. You want the oils to go to the liver and the brain, and they're not on the feet, so you want to work up. So now I'm going to turn that statement upside down, because the palm slide is the only technique where you work up to the atlas and then you go back down to the sacrum again without removing your hands. It's like rubbing a cat the wrong way. So why would you do that? Well, for an hour, we've been pushing things up and out of the body, and sometimes stuff gets stuck. So it's not bad to shake it up a little bit. So one technique, we're going to go the wrong direction, and we're going to end in the right direction. So just once, you're going to go backwards, and then you do the palm slide technique 2 more times for a full set of 3. If you've noticed, every single thing we're doing in Raindrop is just a means of driving the oils into the body. We're vitaflexing. That's about nerve pathways and electricity. We're feathering. That's about spreading the oil to the farthest corners of the spine, whether it's with angel wings, straight to sides. We're finger straddling, stretch and rocking, and palm sliding. Those are all different techniques to drive the oils in. And then after this, we're going to seal it with a carrier to keep the volatile oils, those that spring into the air, from evaporating. We want them to go down into the skin, not up into the atmosphere. Then we're going to use heat on a towel to drive it in deeper, and top it off with a packet of Ningxia as the body processes all it's been through. And then cypress oil is doing its work by pushing everything to the lymph nodes and out through the excretory system. Gary used every technique he could think of to get oil into the body. So let's look at angel wings. This is one of the last things. Then I'm just going to do a top-down explanation of Raindrop. We'll end with some FAQ, and we're done with the technique for tonight. And I pray it's been a huge blessing to you guys. Here is angel wings.
The last technique I'm going to show you is angel wings, and I skipped over the feathering because we've already studied that, but obviously do what the cheat sheet shows you and do it in the right order. But for angel wings, after feathering, I want you guys to think teacup, saucer, dinner plate. So we're going to make little wings on the spine in sets of 3. Here's the teacup. 1, 2, 3. Then you want your saucer. How big is that? 1, 2, 3. Then you want your dinner plate. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to move up a little bit. Teacup, saucer, dinner plate. Teacup, saucer.
So that's what angel makes. Oh, did I skip my palm slide? I'm sorry, guys. Totally went over the palm slide. Missed it. Let's go back to palm slide. Here's your palm slide demo. Do this before angel wings. Now you know angel wings, but do this before angel wings. Okay. Sorry about that.
Palm slide is something that you've been doing since you were a little kid when you gave your sibling an Indian rub. And the neat thing about this technique is that you do it both ways. So all the other techniques start by the butt crack and go all the way up into the neckline. This one starts here, goes up, and we go back again. So we're just trying to get the oils into the skin every way that we possibly can. So palm slide. And you'll do that 3 times.
My 16-year-old son is like, oh, it feels so good to him. So then after the palm slide, you do the angel wings. And then the last technique is an occiput pull. And so you are going to put both hands on the back of the head and with the pads of the fingers on the base of the skull at the occipital ridge, the bony part. The head remains on the table. You gently lean back with their head in a soft rocking motion so their entire body moves toward you. As you're leaning back, you watch the sheet. And once you see the slightest movement of the sheet that they're under, you've gone far enough. So you pause, repeat the process 2 more times. You pull 3 seconds, release 3 seconds, pull 3 seconds, release 3 seconds, pull 3, pull 3. It's a very gentle stretch that is really soothing. So you already saw angel wings. I showed that to you guys. The occiput pull we just talked about. I'm going to do something a little bit different because I don't have this inside the PowerPoint yet for you, but I want to show you Sarah Raindrop. So the last part here we're going to add these images in is I'm just going to do a top-down run of everything that you do when you are doing raindrop techniques. So some things to know before you start. And then we're going to do just a top-down explanation. I'll do a picture for each of them, and then we're going to wrap up. All right. You guys are just troopers. I cannot believe how many of you are watching this thing all the way to the end. We've gone an hour and a half, but we're at the very, very end of it. All right. So things to know before you start: do raindrop in silence, no music. Remind the person on the table to breathe. Healing comes in layers. So, what you want to happen may not be what happens. I mean, the person on the table is only going to release what they want to let go. So it's not about you. It takes the pressure off of you. So don't go into it with expectations of what you think needs to happen. Raindrop is an anointing and it can lead to some detoxing. So it's really important that you drink a lot of water. Trauma can take a while to get rid of. It's like peeling layers in an onion. So just keep going. Do another one, do another one, do another one. Strong emotional releases can sometimes occur on the table. So what does that look like? Sobbing, sneezing, moaning, even if they fall asleep and start snoring, drooling. I mean, if you observe it, you just encourage the person by saying it's okay. You're quiet, you stay with them, apply some grounding oil or white angelica or valor. You might not see results right away, and you may see things shift that you didn't count on, and it might take a few days before you see anything, and that's all right. I said if the person's on a lot of medication, I don't use a lot of oil on them, maybe only 1 drop of each of the oils, and that's okay. Anybody can do raindrop because God does the healing. This is an anointing, so God does it. Keep a little table beside you and keep the caps off your bottles before you start. That's a huge blessing. Have the receiver go to the bathroom before you start. Have 2 to 3 cups of hot water ready before you begin, or you can just take a hand towel and get it wet in the sink. Either way, with the hottest water you can stand. Make sure you get that towel ready to go. Take off all your metal, because metal conducts electricity. So you guys see, I took all my rings off, but when I shot those videos today, no jewelry, no belts, no metal on your shoes. Obviously, if you had a knee replacement, you can't take off your knee. So just control the things you can control. Raindrop is more effective when you don't mix other techniques with it. So I don't have a diffuser going in the room. I'm not doing reflexology. I'm not doing anything else. I just do raindrop. You might use 50 or more drops of oil in a session. So the human is the diffuser. I would invest in a massage table doing this, even if you're only doing it at home, because it's really, really hard and it hurts your back to lean over when somebody's on a couch or a bed. So it saves your back and it saves your knees, and it's worth the $100 that you spend on Amazon. Make sure you protect the privacy of the person on your table. So have the room a little warmer than you like, dim the lights, limit the noises, the distractions, shut off your cell phone, tie your children up. I'm just kidding, but no, maybe have them go somewhere else, put a movie in, have somebody watch your kids. The recipient is nearly naked on your table, so make sure there's 2 sets of sheets on the table. The blinds are drawn, anything to make them comfortable. Keep your V6 and your ortho-E's really close if you see any redness on them. Wear loose-fitting clothes. I prefer to do my raindrops barefoot. Trim your fingernails, no white showing. Have a packet of Ningxia. I don't give them water when they set up. I give them a packet of Ningxia when they set up at the end. And don't do raindrop when you are in distress, because all of your emotions will be carried over to the person that you're working on. So raindrop technique, we have made it. Like, you guys know the science of raindrop. You know what the oils do. You understand the order. You understand things to know before you start. We have trained on all the techniques. So now this part we're going to do in 5 minutes. Like, I'm just going to do a top down read of the cheat sheet with some pictures, and we're going to wrap up everything. I think I'm going to save my FAQ for tomorrow night for the mini, so that we don't go too long on this video. So you'll need to pop in for the mini to get all of the little ins and outs of raindrop. But we're at the very, very end here. If you want to see a demo on a person, my goal was to teach you technique with the PowerPoint. And you can even do this with, if you're teaching somebody with this class, or a couple of your leaders have tables there. And at this point, you use the cheat sheet, and you'll get on the table and you do it. And if you don't remember how to do a certain technique, you can go to just that 20-second slide in the PowerPoint and watch it again. So it took lots of pages, but now we're going to take all the pieces that we laid on the floor, and we're going to put it together in one amazing technique. And the foundation is there following your in-home study of raindrop. And now we're going to frame the walls. So you did all the hard work of mentally downloading the oils and the techniques. And now this is the fun part, where we get to see how it works together cohesively. You guys get to step inside the mind of Gary Young. We are walking his steps after him. So what I do now is I have my cheat sheet right in front of me, and I'm going to be reading to you guys from the cheat sheet so that you know exactly how to do this technique. And I've got raindrop technique at a glance. I'm actually going to get out of my PowerPoint, and because this is one thing we haven't added into the PowerPoint yet, but I'm going to do it for you when we get to it. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures that we'll embed into the PowerPoint for you. So step one is you're going to set up your room with fresh sheets and your oils. And I recommend the Young Living Raindrop Kit, V6 massage oil, Ortho-Ease, and a little white Angelica. I put some of that on my shoulders before I start. You're going to take the lids off your oils. You're going to line them up in the order that you're going to use them, dim the lights, clip your nails, file them. You can boil water on the stove, or you can just take a hand towel and get it wet when you're ready to do that part. And then make sure you got the towel ready, turn off your cell phone. You're going to have your recipient stand with their heels against a wall as straight as they can. And you're going to use a cereal box, and you're going to draw their height on a sheet of paper that is taped to the wall behind their head. And you're going to measure again after the raindrop session is complete. Then I ask them if they have any allergies, if they're on medication, if they have exposure to heavy toxins, are they a beautician, right? You're going to use a little less oil if they do. Have them use the restroom, then you leave the room and they lay on the table. I recommend that they wear underwear only, or at least underwear and leggings, and not any more than that, because you need access to the whole spine. But I will let them choose what they're going to wear. If they want to leave their bra on and they will not do a raindrop without their bra on, then just work around it, do the best that you can. So step 4 is Valor balancing. So you are going to begin your raindrop. You're going to make a well. Let's see if I have a picture of Valor balancing here so you guys can see it. You're going to make your well with your oils, which I already showed you that. And then you are going to hold on to the shoulders, and you're going to hold on to the feet. I don't think I have a Valor balancing. I just demo how to do VitaFlex technique, how to make your well, and then I start VitaFlexing the feet. So you're just literally holding on to the shoulders. We'll take a picture of Valor balancing and I'll put it in the PowerPoint for you. And I told you, hold on to the shoulders 5 to 15 minutes or until you feel that you connected with them, and make sure the arms are crossed. So your right hand is touching their right foot and your left hand is touching their left foot. Then step 5, you're going to foot VitaFlex, or this is also called roll and release. So using the VitaFlex technique, you're going to apply 2 to 3 drops of oil along the spinal reflex points, starting on both feet, starting with the right foot. And you do this by creating a well with one hand, and you use the other hand as a paintbrush to dip into the well. You're going to VitaFlex from the top of the foot, or from the bottom of the foot to the top of the big toe, and give a little bit of extra love to the toe, those brain nerve pathways, in sets of 3 with each oil. There's the well again. You're going to use the oils in this order: Valor 3 times each foot, oregano 3 times each foot, thyme 3 times each foot, so right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, basil 3 times each foot, wintergreen 3 times each foot, marjoram 3 times each foot, cypress 3 times each foot, peppermint 3 times each foot, aroma seeds 3 times each foot. Then you hold up a sheet for privacy, and you have the client roll on their back. Step 6 is feathering. So this is duo raindrop with oregano and thyme. You're going to apply 4 to 6 drops of oregano between the shoulder blades where you would typically see bra straps to avoid the oils from pooling. So oregano and thyme, I don't drop higher than the shoulder blades because if it gets into the folds of the neck, that doesn't feel so good. The other oils, I'll go all the way up, but these two, I don't go all the way up. Using the feathering technique, you're going to feather the oil in 3-inch increments, and then in 6-inch increments, and then in 12-inch increments with light touch, really light, almost like you're tickling them, using the backs of your fingers and the nails from the sacrum to the atlas. So 3 inches 3 times, 6 inches 6 times. This is me dropping the oils. And look at this, you can actually see the oil dropping on the spine. Check that out, that cool? And then you do it in 3-inch, 6-inch, and 12-inch increments. So here's 3 inches apart. Whoops. So I'm gonna go back here, 3 inches apart, 6 inches apart, 12 inches apart, and I demoed that for you. Step 7 is feathering. So you do the side strokes. So feathering to sides, I gave you the video on that, and full length strokes where you go all the way from their butt crack up into their hairline. And you're gonna do this 3 times. So step 8 is feathering with the 3 sisters. So you do everything in sets of 3 with oregano, everything in sets of 3 with thyme, and then you go to step 8, which is the 3 sisters, basil, wintergreen, marjoram. So you repeat step 6, feathering, with basil, wintergreen, and marjoram using 3, 6, 12. You're going to lay one oil down and you complete all the steps and then move to the next oil. It's good if you let the oil sit 30 to 60 seconds and absorb into the skin before layering the next oil. It's best not to drop the oils on the back at the same time. Drop an oil, do the technique, which allows time for absorption, and then move to the next oil. Step 9 is additional oil. So one of the amazing things about Raindrop is you can perfectly tailor it to the needs of the person in front of you. So are they a tired mama? Add some energy to this step. Have they had a traumatic incident? Add trauma life. Are they having nightmares? Add some dream catcher oil or white angelica. You just drop the oil on their spine and you repeat step 6 like above. So you do feathering with oregano and thyme, 3, 6, 12. And then straight to sides and full strokes. Then you do feathering with the 3 sisters, 3, 6, 12, with basil, wintergreen, and marjoram. And then you can add additional oils in the spot if you want and tailor the Raindrop to exactly what they need. So this is what straight to sides looks like. Then step 10, we're up to finger circles. And I gave you guys the demo on this one. This is the spinal tissue pull technique. So you apply your fingers to the laminar groove. We're not on the spine, but we're along the end of it. Beginning at the sacrum, you use 4 fingers and you make circle motions, pulling the skin down away from the spine and toward you in that pull and release motion. Make 1 circle, gradually moving up a couple centimeters each time. And you complete the pull and release motions. And you repeat this until you get to the hairline. And then you return to the sacrum and you do it 2 more times, keeping your hands on the recipient. You walk around the massage table and you do the same technique on the other side of the spine 3 times total. So this is what finger circles looks like. Then you have your cypress thunder shower, which I love. You're going to sprinkle cypress generously like a salt shaker. I like to make thunderstorm sounds when I do this. I'm like, and Anthony Stewart, the care school, he laughs at me, but then I got everybody making thunderstorm sounds while they do this. But you salt and pepper shaker the cypress on their back. And cypress is really mild, so you can have some fun. And then you 3, 6, 12 feather the cypress. So step 13 is thumb Vitaflex. So once you got all those oils on the spine, you've got oregano, you've got thyme, you've got the 3 sisters, basil, wintergreen, marjoram. Step 9, you put a couple additional oils on there if it's something they need to work on. You feathered it all in. You did your finger circles. You did your cypress thunder shower to get everything moving through the circulatory system. You 3, 6, 12 feathered that cypress. Now you're ready for the last couple techniques. And we already went through these, so I'm just going to tell you what they are. You got thumb Vitaflex, where you stand at the head of the massage table, lean over them and put both your thumbs on either side of the spine, and you Vitaflex up the spine. Then you've got your finger straddle saw maneuver. There's your thumb Vitaflex. And here's finger straddle saw, where you start at the sacrum and you straddle your index finger and your middle finger on both sides of the spine, and you do a sawing motion and get their butt moving, and you shake their whole butt, right, all the way up. That's your finger straddle saw. Then you do your stretch and rock, which is your circle hand massage, where you're kind of pulling that tissue apart. and then you do your palm slide technique. And you can put some ortho ease right before the palm slide. You warm it up in your hands, and this is just to make them feel like they have gotten a good rub down, to work some of those muscles. So what I do is I do little tiny clockwise circles, and I do it in one big circle. So I'm kind of like this all the way around their spine. And I do that right after the stretch and rock technique. So I put some ortho ease on. If you feel a little tight muscles, you can kind of give it a little extra rub with your thumb or your fingers. Then you do the palm slide, which is the Indian rub. This technique is just like giving an Indian rub to a forearm. So you're going to lay your hands flat on the back over the spine. One hand goes up and one hand goes down at the same time. You travel from the sacrum to the atlas and back 3 times. So yes, and back. You go both directions with this technique, working the last of the oil onto the skin, deep into the body. Then you're going to drop Valor. So Valor is a very gentle oil. You're going to sprinkle Valor from the sacrum to the neck generously, and you do some 3, 6, 12 feathering. And then you wrap the technique up with angel wings, going from the sacrum up to the shoulders and down the tops of the arms 3 times. Then there's peppermint. You only do 1 to 2 drops of peppermint for step 19. That's a hot oil, and you're going to be applying heat on top of it. So a little goes a long way. You don't want to use a whole bunch of drops of peppermint. So after peppermint, I will do angel wings, and which I already demoed for you guys. And then we do an occiput pull. And I didn't show you the picture on this one, but after the peppermint, you have them roll onto their back again, and you can hold the sheet for privacy. This can get a little tricky to do without breaking skin to skin contact, but you sit at a chair at the head of the table so your shoulders are parallel, and you place both hands on the back of the head with the pads of the fingers resting at the base of the skull, and you just gently lean back in a stretch just far enough so that their whole body moves toward you. And you watch the sheet. Once you have the slightest movement of the sheet, you've gone far enough. And you just repeat this, you pull 2, 3, rest 2, 3, pull 2, 3, rest 2, 3. So step 21 is white angelica, and this is an amazing oil. It's spiritually protective. It helps to emotionally seal what you've done. So for the first time since you've started, you're going to break skin to skin contact with the receiver, and it's going to feel strange because you've adopted to staying in contact with them. So it's incredible what happens in the span of an hour. You both grown together, but you're going to grab the oil, you're going to slather it on your palms, and you hold your hands just a couple inches above their nose and let them take a few deep breaths. And this ends the hands-on portion of Raindrop for an aromatic high. And it's just this exclamation mark to a powerful experience. So then I do a hot compress. So I hold the towel again, the sheet, I have them flip back over, put their face back in the headrest, and I'm going to go get a towel. I fold the towel up, I roll it up, and I soak it with the hottest water I can stand. And then I squeeze it out, make sure it's not so hot that it's going to burn them. And I lay a towel down on their back first that's dry. And then I just kind of roll that wet towel from the top of their head down their back, and I put another towel on top of it, or just the sheet on top of it. And I kind of press it into their back, and I stand next to them, and I make sure that it's not too hot for them. And they're not going to feel how hot it heats up at that peppermint for probably 2 to 3 minutes. So just stand next to them. I let them rest for at least 5 minutes, and sometimes as long as 10, but stay right next to them. Don't check your phone. Don't engage in distractions, because you want to remain emotionally connected. They might tell you it's too hot, or some people might feel a sense of abandonment or distress if their energy field is broken more than 6 inches because there's no physical body contact. So you can pray over them and then drink a packet of Ningxia yourself, because you guys have gone over a lot in the last hour. And so then what I'll do is I just sit there until that 10 minutes is up, and then I give them a sheet and let them sit up very, very slowly. I hand them a packet of Ningxia. Sometimes they're a little bit dizzy when they're getting up, and I remind them to hydrate really heavily over the next 3 or 4 days. And then when they are ready to stand up, I have them measure their height again with the cereal box, and just see if they've grown at all. And I'm not going to pretend to understand the science of measuring the spine, because there's many explanations. It might be the finger circles. It might be the way the body relaxes. It might have something to do with the chemistry of essential oils as one factor. But I know that after doing raindrops for several years, I've not seen a single person experience 0 growth. So let me show you guys a picture of my spine. I don't even have the most recent ones that I just did, but I do have a picture of my own spine. Let me move this over so I can find it here. Let me look up Raindrop whoops, raindrop is what I just typed in. Raindrop, there we go. And I'll show you guys a picture of my growth from it. Let's see here. Here's a shot of me doing raindrop. This is actually the very first raindrop I ever did. It's a little scary, but this is a picture of my own spine, just measuring the growth in it. So I don't know, maybe it's just your body relaxing on the table, but it's pretty incredible, some of the things that you'll see. So make sure you don't forget to measure. You just take that paper, tape it up on a wall. You take a cereal box, make sure their heels are against the wall and that they're standing straight, and you measure them again. And now I will tell you that you have learned all that I know about the raindrop technique from the perspective of a mama. I am not a scientist. I am not a massage therapist. I am not even a raindrop instructor, but perhaps that gives me just a small space to speak directly to you guys because I'm far from an expert. I just clumsily took what I learned and I took it home and I practiced it on my kids. And what I found that is even non-experts can see results because it's not your work that makes the oils work. It's something that God put into the oils. Even though I don't know it all, I still use raindrop regularly in my home. And I'm sure that if my instructor saw me today, she would be repositioning my hands and telling me to bend my knees and telling me to save my back. So with all of my mistakes, this is what I do know. When my kids start to feel off, I do a raindrop on them that day. When somebody comes to me and we don't know what to do for them, I do a raindrop. When my friends are in deep emotional need, I tell them that I love them by putting them on my table and doing a raindrop, however imperfect that feels to me. It's like the entire world of oiling. It's not about being perfect. It's about loving the person next to you so deeply that you hide your fear and you get out there and you serve them. You're going to find 1,000 uses of raindrop that I've never even heard of as you go and you do the technique on those around you. So take the pieces that you've learned and share your stories with the world, because raindrop is a photograph of the entire oils lifestyle. The experiences that you share and the wisdom that you pass on is going to make all the difference in the world for the person after you that needs your story. And that is how we bring oils to every home in the world, just as Gary asked us to do. That is the end of the raindrop class. If you guys enjoy that, give me some love. Tell me what you love the most. I'm just going to tell you what we're going to go over tomorrow night. So let me go back over to my PowerPoint. We went through the raindrop technique. There is an optional video that you can play in here that is Gary Young at the Finca Botanica farm. It's from 2008. It's pretty awesome. So you can end your class on this just for the sake of time, because we've gone a full 2 hours. I don't want to play it tonight, but I will post the video for you guys so that you can see it. It is 3 minutes. And then I go through some bonus tips. So do I charge for raindrops? How do you teach this to your team in under 2 hours? Like, can you break it up a little bit? Can you give yourself a raindrop? Can the effects of raindrop last for months? Can I just skip the whole script and do a raindrop or roll on? What is the 3-minute raindrop and what does that look like? What if I need one of those mini raindrops for myself? Where to go for continuing education? The reward for your work. And then my favorite part of the end of every class is the raindrop apply it section with loyalty, rewards, ideas, and action steps. And I actually made a boo-boo when I taught you. I didn't share the Gary stories at the beginning of this class. We have Gary stories for every single class. So tomorrow night, I'm going to go over some of these bonus tips. I'm going to go over Gary's stories and the apply it section, and we're going to do the whole mini with you guys. And I'm going to shoot that from a hotel in Charleston, South Carolina for you. But I pray that this has just been an incredible blessing, that you can really see the techniques laid out, that you got to see them close up. There is a 1-hour video that you can watch of a demo of Young Living doing this. I'm also going to include that at the end of the PowerPoint. If you want to show people and you don't have to actually do the demo, it will be included so you can just hit play on it for easy access. But that'll be a bonus slide. You absolutely do not need to play that if you choose not to. But I would recommend that you just do it. Do it in front of your team and practice it. Practice all the things that you've learned. Take your cheat sheet and get your oils open and just lay the cheat sheet on somebody and run through the cheat sheet. Measure sensitivities, balancing, valor balancing, Vitaflex the feet in this order. Then have them flip over, do the duo of oregano on their back. and thyme, and then do the trio of basil, wintergreen, and marjoram on their back, and 3, 6, 12 feather. Add additional oils if you want. Do your finger circles, work on tight muscles. Do your cypress thunder shower, salt shaker up to the neck, 3, 6, 12 feather. Do your thumb Vitaflex, your finger straddle saw. Apply ortho ease, apply to the palms and liberally over the whole back. Do a little freestyle anointing on them. Do your Indian rub, your palm slide, and then drop Valor on them. Put your 1 or 2 drops of peppermint, put that hot towel on them, and then have them sit up carefully, give them Ningxia, and measure. And that's your raindrop at a glance right there on your cheat sheet. And that's, I said, it's a sheet we'll be uploading to the website just so it's easy for you guys to use. So tell me something that you learned from today. I'm going to pick 3 winners for the live video. I'm sorry if you're not watching this live, but we will collect this and put it up on my website, and you guys can share it with your teams. You can use my training and just play it for your team. I always do giveaways for shares on my videos. So we've had 27 shares. Let's see if we can get that to 200, and I'll give away a whole bunch of stuff. So everybody says, thank you. This is an awesome class. I appreciate you guys. The best 2 hours, Laura says. All right, Laura McClendon, I'm going to give you 10 minis, girl, the little script book minis. That's what we're training on tomorrow night. Let me pick a couple more winners for some minis. Anna Sampson, your winner number 2 for 10 minis. Lee Jolly, seeing the hand placement was the best. Your winner number 3 for 10 minis. Judy Bofa, I'm going to give you a whole set, chickadee. I'm going to give you a teacher's edition, an Euler edition, a workbook, and 10 minis, Judy. So all of my winners, I need you guys to email my team at oilabilitywithsarah@gmail.com. And Sarah's SARAH, and we'll make sure that we get those goodies out to you. We just got pallets and pallets of teacher's editions, which is what we were waiting on to mail the prizes out. You guys, you took down my website and sold out all of my product with this book. So thank you for doing that, but we had to wait to get the pallets in. So we've got them in now. So all of you guys that are still waiting on contest that you have won, those should be going out in the next week or 2. Thank you for joining me for Raindrop. Please pop in tomorrow night. It'll be a short video, and we'll go over the mini and some of those bonus questions in the apply it sections. And then join me on Thursday, and I'm going to go over the workbook. So now we're going to take all this training and put it into action. So your team's out there and they're utilizing some of this stuff, and they're applying, and they're reordering the Raindrop kit, and they're playing with the oils in ways they've never done it before. That's what this whole journey is about, is to bring oils to every home in the world. And I really believe we do that when we teach things that are simple, we get people excited, and we show them how to use the product. And that's what the script book is all about. So if you enjoyed this class, share the video, share it with your teams, get on for boot camp, invite more people to watch, and go leave me ratings on my books, because that's just a huge blessing to me. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow night. And congratulations to all of our winners. Bye.